Chapter 301, Boundless Realm. Feng Zhuo cleared out Gold family's treasury and left with all the treasures. Even after 3 days, the Gold family didn't notice that there was one person left and that their treasury had been robbed. This was because they didn't expect that a 12-year-old crazy girl would be able to open the entrance to the treasury. This was an entrance that could only be opened with the help of 12 elders working together. But Feng Zhuo had opened it just like that. This was because the Gold family underestimated her bloodline purity. Bringing away her treasures and 1000 top-grade spiritual energy dragon veins, Feng Zhuo started her own cultivation journey. She had thick bloodline purity, so the rate at which she cultivated was extremely quick. Now with so many treasures, she was much quicker. If Xiandao didn't need the spiritual energy dragon veins, her cultivation speed would have been even quicker. She could have swallowed them up to improve herself. After leaving the Gold family, Feng Zhuo didn't flee aimlessly. She had a clear goal, which was to head to where Cold Moon Sky had the most spiritual energy dragon veins to help Master collect them. Master needed 10,000 spiritual energy dragon veins and she only had 1,000. She was far away from the goal. Feng Zhuo cherished the mission that Xiandao gave her and she wanted to complete it perfectly. This was why she headed to the central area of Cold Moon Sky, Celestial Pond. This was a wide pond that was considered the center of Cold Moon Sky. There were once fairies who came down to bathe here, which was why they called it the Celestial Pond. Located above Heaven Mountain, the Celestial Pond was huge. Snow accumulated around it throughout the year and the scenery was beautiful. Heaven Mountain was a giant mountain range that spanned 7 cities. Tens of millions of civilians lived around Heaven Mountain. There was an old monster living inside. There were also pond monsters and as well as an old man who was invincible over 9 skies and 10 lands. Anyway, there were numerous legends regarding the pond. Feng Zhuo wanted to head there not because of the legend but because of the spiritual energy dragon veins nearby. Legend has it that there are 100,000 dragons under the mountain range there. Is this true? Feng Zhuo thought about it. She spent these few years in a daze and there were only a few days when she was actually awake. But she made use of every second to read and improve herself. As such, she knew a lot about Cold Moon Sky. Legend had it that Heaven Mountain had 100,000 dragons under it. These 100,000 true dragons referred to 100,000 top-quality spiritual energy dragon veins. Many factions targeted Heaven Mountain but they couldn't take it down because it was not a place where one party could swallow. This was also why Heaven Mountain didn't have an owner. Everyone entered based on their skills and their riches were based on destiny. Even if the 100,000 true dragons were fake, if there were 10,000 he could at least try to get them. Feng Zhuo rushed while improving herself. She easily broke through Legend Realm. She basically passed 4 stages in one day. After 7 to 8 days, she reached Grotto Heaven Realm. She was just so quick. The price was the accumulated treasures of the Gold family. A few hundred years of treasures were reducing at a visible rate. Feng Zhuo showed how one wouldn't feel heart-pained when using something that didn't belong to them. All sorts of treasures, items, pills, liquids. She swallowed all of them into her stomach and then used her spiritual flames to replenish her whole body. If others did that, in just a few moments, their bodies would have exploded. But Feng Zhuo didn't consider that. Her body would never run out of energy. She would eat everything that got to improve and fill up her whole body. She increased her cultivation and also burned the excess fat. Feng Zhuo's cultivation jumped each day while her weight lowered. After a month, Feng Zhuo finally arrived near Heaven Mountain. She was a top beauty and wasn't that small ball-like little girl. Her cultivation also officially broke past Grotto Heaven Realm. She fully relied on the Gold family's resources to improve. The more infuriating thing was that after eating it, there were no problems. Instead, it increased her blood purity and increased her potential. Maybe it was compensation given to her by the heavens. She had been crazy for 12 years and suffered enough pain in the world. She was finally able to taste the sweetness of the world. Xiandao was really envious of her cultivation speed. Within the bank of the universe, Xiandao and 7 sat next to one another. In front of him were the scenes of Feng Zhuo improving swiftly. When Xiandao saw this, he couldn't help but cough. This might be a gift for her from the heavens. Right, the things she ate had no side effects at all. I'm so jealous. 7 nodded and agreed. She broke through to Boundless Realm so quickly. Xiandao said. He was still at stage 10 Grotto Heaven Realm and didn't reach the next realm. Boundless. Boundless ocean, boundless world, boundless spiritual energy, and boundless Dao. Boundless was a noun. It was the realm after Grotto Heaven realm. When one reached the boundless realm, they would be considered strong in the nine skies and have the ability to protect themselves. They would be able to cross the nine skies and expand their horizons. Of course, this didn't mean that people at Grotto Heaven realm couldn't cross worlds, but that it was dangerous. It was safer at boundless realm. You can't reach boundless realm yet? 7 asked. Li Xiandao said regretfully, not yet. Why? 7 didn't understand. It is easy for you to beat people at boundless realm, right? 7 added. Of course, I made the 10 lands into my 10 grotto heavens and contained them in my body. That means that each strike of mine equals the strength of a world. Naturally, people at boundless realm can't block it. Li Xiandao said proudly. Boundless realm was strong, but against Li Xiandao, he could still crush them. Then, why not break through? 7 looked at Li Xiandao with a weird expression. 10 lands is strong. But similarly, the enormous energy from the 10 grotto heavens made me stuck in this realm. I need to comprehend more about the Dao and absorb more energy to break through. Li Xiandao added. He wasn't too anxious now. Boundless realm wasn't a problem for him. The most important thing was to maximize the use of the 10 grotto heavens. The stronger Li Xiandao's 10 grotto heavens were decided how strong his energy was. That enormous energy couldn't be absorbed in a short amount of time. Only by fully containing them in his body could Li Xiandao cross into boundless realm. There is no need to worry. I will head to Legacy Hall and find those ghosts to train. I still haven't absorbed many of their Dao attainments. Li Xiandao suddenly thought about the priest, Zhao Wuji, sword god, and Zhao Wuji. It was time to spend some time with them. Without breaking through to boundless realm, Li Xiandao wouldn't head down the mountain. Chapter 302, Not Even One Drop. Li Xiandao walked towards the mountain behind Legacy Hall. He passed Zhao Wuji's tomb and knocked on the tombstone. Brother, let's spar. Zhao Wuji ignored Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao didn't stop and continued to knock the tombstone. Dong dong dong. A helpless sigh spread out from the coffin under the tombstone. Bring it on. Zhao Wuji came out in the end. After all, he was in Li Xiandao's territory and he had to give him some face. Hong. A spear pierced through the sky and shot over like a meteor, landing in front of Li Xiandao. This was the Dao attainment of someone in Grotto Heaven realm. This spear was really ferocious, but when it struck Li Xiandao's body, there wasn't anything strong about it. This was because Li Xiandao had 10 huge grotto heavens behind him, 10 huge worlds. He used their full strength to block this strike. Like a dirt cow entering an ocean. This strike didn't cause many ripples when it struck Li Xiandao's body as it was blocked by his 10 grotto heavens. The grotto heaven realm Dao attainments you are using are of no use against me. Li Xiandao said truthfully. Zhao Wuji was annoyed. You are a sick person. His spear shook viciously, turning into millions of spear shadows. Each strike seemed very real. In truth, each strike was real. This flick of the wrist that produced millions of spear shadows might have seemed illusionary and confusing to someone from Dao pursuing realm, but Zhao Wuji didn't care about such fancy stuff. All of his spear shadows were real. This was the Dao attainment of someone at boundless realm. This referred to the boundless Dao. Li Xiandao blinked as he thought about it. He comprehended it and then clenched his hands together and swung it forwards. Hong! This strike was like an ocean smashing into magma, exuding a blistering heat. Li Xiandao's strike utilized the terrifying power of the 10 grotto heavens. This explosion in power caught one off guard. Zhao Wuji didn't expect Li Xiandao's 10 grotto heavens to be so terrifying. This strike came from the 10 worlds and smashed into his spear. All the spear techniques weren't able to block the 10 grotto heavens. Zhao Wuji's body was instantly flung back by Li Xiandao. You are just sick. Zhao Wuji cursed. He climbed up and wiped off the dust from his body. Although he was already dead, he couldn't allow himself to be humiliated like this, right? He was at Grotto Heaven realm and he used boundless realm power, but in the blink of an eye, he was swung back. What was going on? Boundless realm couldn't beat someone at Grotto Heaven realm? The Dao attainment you used has taught me a lot. You can continue using it. Li Xiandao was excited, but because of the mask, Zhao Wuji couldn't see it and just felt like Li Xiandao was mocking him. I will definitely show you how strong my spear is today. Zhao Wuji laid down the gauntlet and raised his cultivation and Dao attainment to the peak of Boundless Realm. He just didn't believe that relying on his Boundless Realm peak power that he still couldn't take down Li Xiandao, who was just at Grotto Heaven Realm. Li Xiandao looked at his proactive strike and said, "Then, use all of your strength and defeat me." Explosion. Zhao Wuji's spear technique and Dao skills were used. Boundless Realm's Dao attainment scattered and his spear danced. It was like a true dragon giving off an enormous aura before entering an ocean. And then Li Xiandao destroyed it and skinned it alive. Li Xiandao used Zhao Wuji's power, Dao attainment, and techniques to train his 10 Grotto Heavens, to nourish it. Each fist and kick used, each elbow strike, each up-close attack used the power of 1 Grotto Heaven. It was so terrifying that Zhao Wuji felt like his spear was just powerless. He was totally defeated. Li Xiandao's fists were like lightning smashing down. After the 10 Grotto Heavens clashed with the spear, a huge force was formed. Pang! Zhao Wuji's body turned illusionary from the beating. He retreated a few dozen meters before stopping. Stop! Li Xiandao wanted to continue, but Zhao Wuji raised his hands and gritted his teeth. If they didn't stop, his body would turn to dust and he would scatter. Li Xiandao stopped and frowned. "Let's continue. I learned a lot from your technique and now my 10 Grotto Heavens are working much better, but they are still not perfect. Let's continue to work hard to allow my 10 Grotto Heavens reach the perfect stage." Perfection of the 10 Grotto Heavens would occur. Li Xiandao stepped into Boundless Realm. "Let me off, please." Zhao Wuji pointed at his body and said tragically, "I am already so old and have been dead for 10,000 years ago. I am barely living, relying on this small bit of my soul. I really can't beat you unless I use strength above Boundless Realm. But then I will be suppressing you using Realm and Cultivation. You are fighting me at Boundless Realm now and you are also using Realm and Cultivation to suppress me." Li Xiandao said truthfully. "I can't crush you even when I am 1 realm higher. If I continue to raise my realm, do you think I would be so shameless?" Zhao Wuji was annoyed. He was also an expert and cared about pride. "You aren't going to try?" Li Xiandao frowned. No. I admit defeat. You are more amazing than me. Go find that sword god." Zhao Wuji pushed the responsibility away. "That sword god is suitable for you as both of you use swords. You can have a good chat and I won't join in. I will continue sleeping." Zhao Wuji laid in the coffin after he finished and didn't move at all. Li Xiandao lived regretfully and headed to find Sword God. When Sword God heard that he could use Boundless Realm strength and Dao attainment, he was delighted. Now, he would be able to teach Li Xiandao a lesson. But the outcome was that Li Xiandao beat him viciously. A few successive defeats caused Sword God to be dejected. No matter what sword moves or Dao attainments he used, Li Xiandao was able to perfectly replicate it and then perfect it. He would make it into his own Dao attainments and counter Sword God with it. This time, Li Xiandao learned his mistake and didn't attack Sword God with the 10 Grotto Heavens right away in case he laid in his coffin like Zhao Wuji had. Only when Li Xiandao totally understood Sword God's Dao at Boundless Realm did he use the strength of the 10 Grotto Heavens to strike him away. "You," Sword God looked at Li Xiandao in shock. "What?" Li Xiandao innocently raised his hands. "You had such terrifying power, so why didn't you use it?" Sword God was frustrated. "If I had used it, then you wouldn't have fought me so fervently." Li Xiandao said truthfully. Sword God only felt blood rising up in his mouth. He was so frustrated that he just wanted to die. "I am leaving to find the priest." Li Xiandao said goodbye to Sword God. After the priest saw Li Xiandao, his body shook. "I don't have any Dao attainments at all. I don't want your Grotto Heaven Realm Dao attainment but your Boundless Realm one," Li Xiandao said. The priest's face froze. Chapter 303, One Bet. In the end, the priest was sucked dry by Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao fully understood the Boundless Realm Dao attainments and made them his own. They entered his body and filled every muscle. But Li Xiandao's 10 land Grotto Heavens weren't fully completed, which made him feel really helpless. He had sucked dry Zhao Wuji, Sword God, and the priest consecutively, but they still weren't able to complete his 10 lands Grotto Heaven. From that, one could see how enormous his 10 lands Grotto Heaven was. Immeasurable. If one gave any random person 1% of Zhao Wuji's Boundless Realm Dao attainments, they would be able to break through to Boundless Realm. But over on Li Xiandao's side, Zhao Wuji, Sword God, and the priest failed to complete Li Xiandao's Dao, much less break through. Li Xiandao could only place his hopes on the last person. Zhong Beishan. An amazing scholar who once had a strong presence too. But as time passed, everything recorded about him disappeared in the rivers of time. Zhong Beishan was just another dead person in the bank of the universe. A sliver of his soul was left in the bank of the universe, keeping him alive. If he left, he would be dead within an hour. There were many such people on the Legacy Hall mountain peak. Li Xiandao found Zhong Beishan to spar and comprehend the Dao. Zhong Beishan knew that he couldn't reject the offer. If he didn't want Li Xiandao to find him, the only way would be to lose his own value. Li Xiandao wouldn't disturb a person or ghost who had no value. He was just such a practical person. This was why Zhong Beishan passed all his knowledge over to Li Xiandao and helped him learn it. As such, Li Xiandao wouldn't find him in the short run. Li Xiandao loved Zhong Beishan's clean style and so he quickly learned those Dao attainments. But his 10 lands grotto heaven still wasn't able to be filled, which made Li Xiandao frown. He absorbed the Dao attainments from 4 experts and it was still not enough. This was just too much. Your 10 lands grotto heaven is too terrifying and normal people can't form it. Using a world as a grotto heaven and you even want to fill it up. That is not a simple matter. Zhong Beishan looked at Li Xiandao's grotto heaven and shook his head. He was shocked by Li Xiandao's strength. What should I do? Li Xiandao asked for Zhong Beishan's help. There are many dead people on the Legacy Hall mountain peak and many of them are experts from an ancient era. No matter who, they will all have their own way of comprehending the Dao. Zhong Beishan thought about it before saying. Li Xiandao wasn't dumb and he guessed it right away. I comprehended too much and don't have a system. That is a reason. Your 10 lands grotto heaven is enormous and maybe you still lack some Dao attainments. Apart from what you yourself comprehended, you absorbed those from the 4 of us. We have different styles, so for you to comprehend the 4 of us, it is still a problem for you to control and combine them. Zhong Beishan analyzed it for Li Xiandao. He is right. You are a monster, a freak, and you comprehend things so easily. When we fight with you, you understand it so easily. But the 4 of us all have different roots from you. The priest walked over with a stick in his hand. As he was just a fragment of his soul, he appeared illusionary. Li Xiandao thought about it and felt that it made sense. Sword God and Zhao Wuji came too. Out of the 4 of us, your Dao is similar to mine as we both use the sword. But my sword heads forward with no fear. Even if my enemy is strong, I am not afraid of him. But yours is overbearing, brilliant, and outstanding. You want your sword to suppress all enemies. Sword God said. It is okay that you comprehended our Dao attainments, but you should use your own for the foundation, not ours. You should then use ours as support. Spear God added. The 4 of them noticed Li Xiandao's current problem. Li Xiandao's comprehension speed was really quick. But the bad thing was that he had absorbed a lot from others. Then, how should I adjust it? Li Xiandao asked for help. From now onward, you need to confirm a path for yourself to be your Dao. Like how a tree's branch has to be straight. The Dao attainments you get from us can be nutrients to let your tree grow. Zhong Beishan said. Right, to confirm my Dao, I killed for 100 years. I grinned out my Dao on the brink of death, so you must grind it out too. Sword God nodded his head. I think that you will be able to comprehend your own Dao tree quickly. Zhao Wuji muttered. This guy is sick in the head, so he should be quick. Let's make a bet. The priest said in front of Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao's face turned black. If he wasn't wearing the mask, those people would have noticed. What are we betting? Zhong Beishan asked. Whoever loses will be slapped. Sword God thought about it and said. 5 slaps. Zhao Wuji's eyes lit up. Then, 10. The priest decided. Li Xiandao was helpless. Do all of you have such a weird hobby? We have no choice. This place is just so boring. In the past, we didn't know each other and didn't talk to one another. Because of you, we started to talk. The priest smiled. Then, do so quickly. I bet that you will comprehend your Dao tree in just 3 hours. Zhao Wuji rushed. 3 hours is too quick. As far as I know, no one is capable of achieving that. Zhong Beishan was shocked. Right, it took me 100 years. Sword God muttered. Since you don't believe it, then I will set the time longer. Zhao Wuji didn't care. He even laughed. Didn't they know how overpowered Li Xiandao was? Then, I bet 30 minutes. The priest thought about it and bet a time that made Zhao Wuji's eyes open wide. I bet 30 minutes too. Sword God added. Me too. Zhong Baishan said. This. I said 3 hours and all of you felt that it was too quick, but now, you're betting 30 minutes. Zhao Wuji looked at them in shock and rage and felt that he had been conned. He is the master of the Bank of the Universe. Zhong Baishan said calmly. All of you don't know how sick he is. Sword God gloated. You are definitely going to lose. Prepare to give yourself 10 slaps. The priest said directly. Master of the bank, can you wait 3 hours before you comprehend it? Zhao Wuji begged. I don't mind, but I really want to see you slap yourself, so I will try to finish in 30 minutes. Li Xiandao stood up and patted Zhao Wuji's shoulder. Chapter 304, Saving People. Li Xiandao sat beneath a huge tree and closed his eyes. He was comprehending his own Dao tree. When one comprehended the Dao, one had to differentiate between what was important and what was not. The importance was in quality, not quantity. Of course, if you could swiftly comprehend quality, then it was okay if you had quantity too. Li Xiandao comprehended too much before, and although he was familiar with all of them, in truth, Li Xiandao didn't perfect his own Dao. One person's Dao was like a tree. The path that one comprehended and wanted to follow was the branch. It would grow straight and tall, and no matter what one comprehended after, it wouldn't shake the main branch. It could split up and form new branches for leaves to grow out. If the thousands of paths you comprehended were based on the main tree, then very quickly one Dao tree would be born. Li Xiandao grasped the method to form a Dao tree. He was thinking about what to use as the main branch. Of course, without a doubt, it would be the sword. But there were many different sword daos. There was the ruler sword, the emperor sword, the god spirit sword, the scholar sword, the fighter sword. A bunch of different ones, and each could all be developed. The sword god's sword Dao was one that proceeded forwards fearlessly, unwavering in the face of death. Li Xiandao closed his eyes and asked himself, what is my sword path? Li Xiandao's sword path was just too overbearing. No matter the enemy, Li Xiandao wanted to kill him with one sword. If he couldn't kill with one sword, then he would use the second. With one sword, he would suppress everything. With the overbearing sword, all the overlords seemed gentle on the surface. Li Xiandao was usually polite and wasn't as direct or rude as his sword. My sword will kill all enemies and make the masses yield. Li Xiandao said firmly. He wanted to use one sword to suppress the world. Li Xiandao spent 5 minutes confirming his Dao, and he started to merge all the Daos that he comprehended in it. Explosion! A giant tree branch appeared, and then Li Xiandao pieced together and merged the Dao attainments of the 4 experts. The process was simple, but Li Xiandao needed to seriously comprehend everything he had learned. This was a time-consuming exercise. Normally, he would take 3 days. After all, Li Xiandao had comprehended too many Daos. But to let the priest and the others win, Li Xiandao sped up the process. 3 days was shortened to just 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, Li Xiandao looked through all the Daos he comprehended and placed them onto his Dao tree. A wide tree crown appeared at Li Xiandao's chest. The roots of the Dao tree were sunk into his dantian and absorbing nutrients. As soon as 30 minutes passed, Li Xiandao opened his eyes and stood up. Zhao Wuji's face was black like the bottom of a pot. The other people all smiled and looked at him gleefully. Li Xiandao didn't interfere. He had completed his own matter, and that was enough. My 10 lands grotto heaven is close to completion, and I need to comprehend more myself. You can do what you have to do. Li Xiandao took his leave. He had formed the Dao tree. The 10 lands was originally dry and boring, but it seemed richer now. It didn't reach the peak, but it was not far from that anymore. Li Xiandao was planning to comprehend his own Dao. He wasn't in a rush, and he just had to improve himself. After leaving the legacy hall, Li Xiandao returned to his own room. He washed up and changed into a new set of clothes before he started to pay attention to how many spiritual energy dragon veins Feng Zhuo and Qing Ling had collected. Heaven Mountain Range. Feng Zhuo finally arrived. Her cultivation stabilized at Boundless, and relying on her strong bloodline, her combat strength was immeasurable. After getting close to Heaven Mountain, Feng Zhuo didn't search for people from the Gold family. She was probably on the Gold family's wanted list. The people of the Gold family weren't stupid, and they definitely knew that she was the one who had stolen it. With their temper, they would definitely hunt her down. This was why Feng Zhuo didn't want to search for the Gold family. But she still came to Heaven mountain range, not to the Gold family. Feng Zhuo was quite lost and didn't know what to do next. Still too young. Feng Zhuo blamed herself. Who knew where the spiritual energy dragon veins were in the giant mountain range? She had run over excitedly, but now, she didn't know what to do. This was because she had no way of checking where the veins were. She had no friends and it was very dangerous for her to enter. This was why she was resting in a city nearby and collecting information at the same time. Xiandao shook his head helplessly. She seemed really confident and he thought that she had a good idea. But now, it seemed like she was just a little girl. He went to find Qingling and Mr. Mule. Xiandao realized that they were also near Heaven Mountain and were actually in a bit of trouble. Qingling disguised himself as Qingyao and offended the Gold family's Feng Longke. He fled, infuriating Feng Longke. But along the way, Feng Longke met Qingyao and after the explanation, she discovered his real identity. Now, she swore that she wanted to kill Qingling. Coincidentally, both of them came to Heaven mountain range for a reason. Qingling and Mr. Mule had also rushed over because of the spiritual energy dragon veins. Fate was just so amazing, they actually bumped into each other. Qingling and Mr. Mule were beaten up badly. Qingling used his defensive quasi-celestial artifact and Mr. Mule's space-crossing seal to escape. But with Qingyao and Feng Longke's secret techniques, they could track them down quickly. Just like that, one chased and one fled. If Mr. Mule didn't have such a strong body, he would have been sliced in half. This time, the Qing and Gold families worked together to hunt them down and surround them. Xiandao frowned and immediately informed Feng Zhuo, head to Trapped Dragon Valley and save Qingling and Mr. Mule. Feng Zhuo was bored in the inn, and after she heard Xiandao's voice, she stood up and said loudly, "Yes, master. I will head over now." Xiandao didn't say anything else. Feng Zhuo waited a few seconds before flying out. She turned into a blood-red light that shot through the sky toward Trapped Dragon Valley to save Qingling and Mr. Mule. Nothing must happen. These are master's orders. I have to save you too. Feng Zhuo was anxious and she moved really quickly. At this point within Trapped Dragon Valley, Mr. Mule and Qingling were in a bloody battle. Chapter 305, Will You Eat Mule Penis? In Trapped Dragon Valley, Mr. Mule was fighting someone in the air. A pair of mule hooves waved and he punched forwards. His muscles rose up and his black fur was like silk, filled with spiritual energy. "I will hit you, I will fight." Mr. Mule kicked. The space around ripped open and energy wrapped around. He was fine because of his thick skin, but his opponent was in a tough spot. One after another, the people of the Qing family were struck by Mr. Mule's hooves and they spat out blood, falling down from the sky. Someone wanted to catch Mr. Mule but he was just too quick. He sped across space, stood up straight like a human, and punched really swiftly. "Damn mule! We have to kill this mule. He is so annoying. He is messing up our formation. Kill, kill, kill." The Qing and Gold family members hated Mr. Mule. They were planning to lay out a formation to help Qingyao and Feng Longke suppress Qingling. But Mr. Mule charged out and beat them up. He was really fast and just like an assassin. In the distant Trapped Dragon Valley, Qingling was fighting with Qingyao. On the side, Feng Longke was planning a sneak attack. But due to Qingling's strong defense and the quasi-celestial artifact, he was able to stay alive. But even with it, Qingling was still taking heavy blows. This was because Qingyao was going all out. "You traitor, you betrayed my Qing family and wiped out the treasury. You deserve to die." Qingyao was a big and strong guy. His fists were like lightning smashing down and giving rise to loud explosions. Of the Qing family 10 tigers, Qingyao took up 90% of the attention. This meant that all the others only attracted 10% of the attention. Qingyao was the Qing family's third choice for emperor and he had been a genius since he was young. Qing family's other 9 tigers knew that they couldn't compete with Qingyao. When they broke through to Grotto Heaven Realm, Qingyao reached Boundless Realm. When some of them entered Boundless Realm, Qingyao was already at the peak. He was always ahead of everyone. One of those included Qingling. Qingling didn't want to admit defeat. They were all humans, so why did he always have to be ahead? He always had to look up to him. Could he come down once and look up to him? Qingling's quasi-defensive celestial artifact gave out a bright light and formed a giant defensive shield to block himself. Dong! Qingyao's fist caused the barrier to crack. Dang! Qingyao's second fist caused it to break apart. Qingling's expression changed. His cultivation was too low and he had just entered Boundless Realm. He was unable to activate all the defensive powers of the quasi-celestial artifact. This was why before the third fist landed, he dissipated the barrier. He held the Emperor Artifact halberd and struck forwards. I am not afraid of you, Qingyao! Qingling hollered in rage. With the Emperor Artifact in his hand, he slashed forwards viciously. Without this quasi-celestial artifact and this Emperor Artifact, would you dare to fight me head-on? Qingyao was filled with disdain. His body shone bright and then it dimmed. With a fist, he smashed forwards. Halfway through, he opened his fingers. His 5 fingers were like 5 pillars that smacked into the Emperor Artifact. Kaka! The Emperor Artifact shook and Qingyao just retreated right after a touch. His fingers shook and his expression sunk a little. As expected from an Emperor Artifact. It really is different. I thought that since my body was tempered that I would be invincible, but now, it seems like I am unable to compete with this Emperor Artifact that hasn't even been activated. Qingyao was staring solemnly at Qingling. His gaze was like a hungry tiger wanting to swallow Qingling up. Qingling's heart sank. He had no more helpers. Mr. Mule was fighting with the Qing and Gold family members. It was tough for him to deal with one Qingyao and there was still Feng Longke, who was looking on. "You're perverted mule. You dared to peek at my Gold family girls bathing and you even blamed Qingyao. You really are bold." Feng Longke looked at Qingling, who was trapped, and laughed coldly. "I told you that it is a misunderstanding." Qingling explained helplessly. "Misunderstanding? Do you think I am stupid?" Feng Longke stared at Qingling in rage. "Aren't you?" Mr. Mule ran over and said in disdain. "What are you saying?" Feng Longke's aura exploded. In midair, she turned into a giant flying phoenix. "Ayo!" A phoenix cry resounded throughout the area. Feng Longke stared at Mr. Mule with rage. "You really are stupid. For a misunderstanding, you are helping Qing family get rid of us. The Qing family will benefit the most and you will get nothing. You are losing your own family members for nothing, so who is the fool?" Mr. Mule stood beside Qingling. "You are good at speaking, but I don't believe you." Feng Longke laughed coldly. "A mule that birthed consciousness. Your body is perfect to barbecue and should taste good. Will Sister Longke eat it?" Qingyao stepped into the air and asked. "Mule barbecue?" Mr. Mule's face was really dark as he stared furiously at Qingyao while gritting his teeth. "Of course. As long as it's the meat of this stupid mule, I can eat several bowls." Feng Longke smiled while saying. She looked at Mr. Mule's ribs and legs with a sinister expression, which made Mr. Mule feel terrified. "There is no mule meat but there is a mule penis. Do you want it?" Mr. Mule stood up on his hind legs. He didn't hide himself at all and just stared at Feng Longke. Feng Longke's face became green and he looked at Mr. Mule in annoyance. "I am going to slice you into 8 pieces and slice off that dirty thing of yours." Hong! Feng Longke stopped bickering and charged forwards. Her body shone gold like the sun. She was really strong, and with a slap, energy rumbled forward like a mountain. Explosion! Mr. Mule shouted, "Qingling, what should we do? I am no match for her." Qingling laughed coldly, "What do you mean? We can't flee, so just kill them. Didn't you say you want her to eat mule penis? Then, work hard and make her your pet." Mr. Mule's eyes opened wide. Take Feng Longke as his pet? This goal seemed a little far off. "Forget it. I am going to go all out fighting with all of you." Mr. Mule hollered in rage. His monster energy turned into a thick black cloud and struck forwards. Pang! There was a giant clash. Mr. Mule smacked Feng Longke away without hesitation and he rolled several rounds in the air. He spat out blood and cried, "I can't take this pet. She is too strong. I will help you." A young voice came over along with an even stronger aura than Feng Longke's. She blocked Feng Longke's attack. Chapter 306, Is there such a good thing? This strong aura directly sent Feng Longke flying backward. Feng Longke, who dashed forwards without fear, was smacked back. She spat out a mouthful of blood and her body shook. "Phoenix blood, you are from my gold family. Feng Longke stopped her body in midair and stared at the person in disbelief. She didn't dare to believe it at all. Was this even real? Such a strong phoenix blood person appeared in gold family? Why did she have no idea? Moreover, since she was from the gold family, then why save that damn mule? Feng Longke stared at the newcomer in confusion. She really didn't recognize this person. She recalled people who she was familiar with, people from the gold family, and there wasn't such a heroic-looking girl. Qing Yao walked beside Feng Longke and asked, "Are you okay, Sister Longke?" Feng Longke stared at the person without blinking. She even forgot to wipe off the fresh blood by her lips. She had to understand who this person was. "You are from my gold family." Feng Longke didn't care about Qing Yao and just questioned the person who came. Qing Yao frowned. This woman who rushed into the battlefield seemed really strong. Qing Ling and Mr. Mule looked at one another and used their gazes to question each other. "Your friend?" Mr. Mule asked. "I don't have friends." Qing Ling rolled his eyes. "Is it your friend?" Qing Ling asked. "I don't have such a strong friend." Mr. Mule thought about it and replied to Qing Ling with his gaze. In the next second, both of them looked at each other. Since they didn't know her, then who was she? Why did she save them? All four of them stared at the person who came. Feng Zhuo's questioning made Feng Zhuo smile. "I was from the gold family." "Was?" Feng Longke's expression turned solemn. "Who are you?" "I know everyone from the gold family and I don't know who you are." Feng Longke asked. "You know everyone in the gold family? Doesn't your face feel red when you say that?" Feng Zhuo gave a mocking smile. She looked at Feng Longke in disdain. When she was behaving crazily, how would she have known whether or not one of the heirs to the family, Miss Feng Longke, would remember her? If they had met once, it was probably when they tested their bloodlines when they were just 6 years old. Feng Longke's bloodline reached the peak and was much higher than everyone else. If there were no exceptions, Feng Longke would be top that year. But Feng Zhuo stood out. She used her amazing bloodline purity to crush Feng Longke. When Feng Zhuo's bloodline purity came out, the entire gold family came together in excitement. Those who were just praising Feng Longke now started to praise Feng Zhuo. Feng Longke had gone through the process of incredible joy and deep sadness which totally collapsed her mindset. She stared right at Feng Zhuo. Her eyes were filled with hatred and viciousness. It wasn't something that a 6-year-old kid should have felt. That gaze was something that Feng Zhuo remembered till now. All this occurred along with Feng Zhuo being tested for an incomplete soul and she wasn't able to lead the family, which was why Feng Longke was still in first place. Feng Zhuo lost her value and the people around her went to congratulate Feng Longke once more. A delighted smile appeared on Feng Longke's face and then she looked at Feng Zhuo. Her gaze was filled with disdain and jealousy. Feng Longke had forgotten all of this a long while ago. She didn't even recall what happened when she was 6 and she had no idea who Feng Zhuo was. If she recalled what happened 6 years ago, she would have been able to recall that Feng Zhuo, who had become really thin now, was so similar to her in the past. Feng Longke stared at Feng Zhuo and frowned. "Who are you?" "I know everyone in Gold family, so stop acting mysterious here. I am the one in the right here, so why should I be embarrassed?" "I am mysterious and you are in the right, hee." Feng Zhuo mocked as she looked at Feng Longke. "Since you want to know who I am, then I shall tell you," Feng Zhuo said coldly. Feng Longke was shocked and stared at Feng Zhuo carefully. The others looked at Feng Zhuo and wanted to understand the exact situation. Who was this person? Under everyone's gazes, Feng Zhuo stared at Feng Longke's eyes and said calmly, 12 years ago when the Gold family tested bloodline, you were first but someone's bloodline totally suppressed you. Do you remember? A calm question but it felt like lightning from the 9 skies had smashed Feng Longke's heart. Hong! The locked-up memory, the past that was forgotten, was all opened up now. That person who could crush her because of bloodline purity when she was 6. The person she was jealous of when she was 6. 12 years later, she had long forgotten about this Gold family lunatic. She heard that she was as fat as a ball and was totally different from this heroic girl. But, since Feng Zhuo could mention what happened at 6 years old so clearly, how could Feng Longke not believe her? This was the first time she hated someone so much. This was the first time she wanted someone to die so badly. This was the first time she felt disgusted at the fact that someone had stolen the fame that belonged to her. All of this happened when she was 6. Feng Longkei's breathing got more and more rushed. Impossible, you can't be her. She is a lunatic and an insult to the whole Gold family. She is as fat as a ball and everyone abandoned her. You can't be her. Feng Longkei subconsciously believed that this person was Feng Zhuo, but on the surface, she was doubting it. Right, I am a lunatic, I am Gold family's disgrace. That's why I left the Gold family. From now onward, I am me, Feng Zhuo. I am not from the Gold family. Feng Zhuo smiled coldly. She was clean and direct. Feng Longkei was silent. This person with even stronger bloodline purity than her was not mad anymore. So, didn't that mean that her position as top bloodline in the family was gone? Mr. Mule looked at the grievances between the two of them. He couldn't help but interrupt. Can you put aside your grievances and tell us, why are you saving us? Qingling also asked, we don't know each other, so you saved us to take revenge on the Gold family and on Feng Longkei. Feng Longkei and Qing Yao stared at Feng Zhuo and wanted an answer. Master asked me to save you. Feng Zhuo smiled and said firmly. When she mentioned Master, she was filled with respect and worship. Qingling was stunned. Master? The Bank of the Universe's boss. Mr. Mule jumped up and said emotionally, Master sent you. Right, Master told me to save the two of you. Feng Zhuo nodded. Great, I knew that Master wouldn't abandon us. I am the best mount, long live Master. Mr. Mule was really excited. He wanted to shout towards the sky to vent his excitement. Feng Longkei and Qing Yao looked at each other. They didn't know who this master was. Feng Longkei couldn't help but rage. You are from the Gold family and actually recognize someone else as master? You have lost all the honor of our family. Shut up, I don't allow you to insult master. In my eyes, 100 Gold family members can't even compare to one of master's finger. Feng Zhuo raged. She stared at Feng Longkei in anger. You insult my master, so I am going to capture you and send you to Mr. Mule to be his pet. Feng Zhuo said coldly. Mr. Mule looked at Feng Zhuo in surprise. Is there such a good thing? Joy fell from the skies. He was totally unprepared and he actually felt a little embarrassed too. Mr. Mule's face turned red. Chapter 307, Storm Ends. Feng Zhuo was a trustworthy person and when she said that she would capture Feng Longkei to be Mr. Mule's pet, then she would definitely be able to do it. Feng Zhuo's strength was because of her bloodline. Her bloodline came from the primitive phoenix and was many times thicker than Feng Longkei's. Hong! She was infuriated by Feng Longkei, and in an instant, she used all of her strength. The full ability of Boundless Realm turned into a giant blood-colored phoenix behind her. It was huge and pure. It cried out and a huge aura exploded. Along with this aura, Feng Zhuo attacked. Her strike shook the surrounding area. She was like a war goddess, a blood-red energy charged into the clouds and covered the sky. Explosion! Feng Zhuo had recently been spending her time improving herself and this was the first time she showed her strength. She was doing so for her master, Xiandao. People who insult my master have to die. Feng Zhuo's life was given to her by Xiandao. She wouldn't allow any insults to Xiandao. She would rather give up on her own life and maintain her master's honor. Dong dong dong. Feng Zhuo's strike was too strong and the blood energy was terrifyingly thick. She didn't look like a girl and was more like a demon who had sacrificed a million civilians. Feng Zhuo's blood energy spread out, covering Feng Longkei and Qing Yao. She was really violent and confident to fight one against two. The two of them were not average either. Feng Longkei was one of the 3 golden flowers of the Gold family and her strength was terrifying in the younger generation. Qing Yao was the future 3rd emperor of the Qing family and was really strong too. He beat up Qingling so badly that Qingling could only reactively defend. All of them were people who were well respected outside. But now, Feng Zhuo needed to fight both of them alone. Hong! Feng Zhuo's body was like lightning. Her small jade fists punched forwards. You even dare to fight one against two? Do you look down on me so much? Qing Yao was furious. He felt that he was being humiliated as he was the future 3rd emperor of the Qing family. He didn't hesitate and received her attack with a fist. Dong! But instead, he was smacked away by her punch. His body shook vigorously and he looked towards Feng Zhuo in disbelief. This? How is this possible? Qing Yao stabilized his body but his blood rolled. He couldn't suppress it and he looked at Feng Zhuo with a stunned expression. Fist versus fist and he was smacked away? How is this possible? Qingyao muttered. Feng Zhuo didn't care about his feelings. In her eyes, there was only Feng Longke. Her blood energy was strong and turned into that of a phoenix that pounced forward. A terrifying move shook the heavens and earth, causing a storm. Everything was blurry and one could see a blood phoenix soaring within. It was as if it was holding up an entire world and charging towards Feng Longke. She didn't care about any moves. She didn't care about any techniques. She used her bloodline to suppress her. This was a hooligan style, but due to her strength and bloodline suppression, Feng Longke felt really bad. Now, she finally understood why the family cared so much about the extension of the bloodline. This bone-deep pressure made Feng Longke resist, but it was still really tough on her. Her blood was afraid. Her strength was trembling. Facing Feng Zhuo, Feng Longke understood what her enemies felt. The bloodline of the primitive phoenix was just so terrifying. Hong! At that moment, a blood-red energy swallowed Feng Longke. It suppressed her resistance, and shortly after, Feng Zhuo's fist landed. Pang! The fist smashed into Feng Longke's neck, knocking her out. Mr. Mule, we will all be master's subordinates in the future, so this is my gift to you. Feng Zhuo said loudly. With a wave of her hand, she tossed Feng Longke over. This is too much, too much. In the future, if you need anything or need help, just ask me. I am really grateful. Mr. Mule jumped up. He caught Feng Longke and grinned. He had obtained a pet just like that. When had Mr. Mule ever lived such a luxurious life? This was the first time he played like this and he was really excited. How can one enjoy a human pet? The blood-red energy was slowly retracted into her body. Only then did Feng Zhuo turn to Qingyao. But he was gone. Qingyao had totally disappeared. When Feng Zhuo knocked out Feng Longke, he knew that things weren't right and he fled. Everyone was attracted by Feng Zhuo and they didn't notice that he had left. He fled really quickly. Feng Zhuo clapped and muttered. Qingling looked around. Qingyao had fled and Feng Longke was unconscious and both the Qing family and Gold family's minions had all run away too. We are safe. Qingling was filled with disbelief. Feng Zhuo was just too strong? Mr. Mule was delighted. Of course, how can the people master is sending now be so amazing? Feng Zhuo landed on the ground and walked over. She asked, are both of you fine? Mr. Mule carried Feng Longke and shook his head, we are fine. Our skin is so thick and nothing happened to us. Qingling was confused, how did the bank's master know that we were in danger? Master must be worried about me and has been paying attention to me. This is why he would send Feng Zhuo to save me at the crucial moment. Mr. Mule was shameless. Feng Zhuo and Qingling couldn't retort at all. I am really too grateful for master and there is nothing I can do to repay him. Why don't I send this person to him? Mr. Mule had an idea. Anyway, he had never played with someone like this before, so why not hand her over to master? Are you not afraid of 7? Feng Zhuo said calmly. Although she only saw master once, when she saw how close 7 and Li Xiandao were, she was able to detect something. There was definitely something going on. Right, I can't give her to master, otherwise, I will offend 7. Mr. Mule was terrified. If he made Li Xiandao happy and offended 7, that would be a huge loss. You should just enjoy her yourself. Qingling patted his butt and smiled. I am so embarrassed. Mr. Mule's face turned red. He had never touched something that belonged to the opposite sex and hadn't even dated a female mule before. Now that he had a human pet, he felt a little excited. Then, you can return her to me. Anyway, I can kill her to vent my anger. Feng Zhuo reached out. Cough cough, let's go. Fighting here will attract attention, so let's leave quickly. Mr. Mule changed the topic and carried Feng Longke away. Perverted mule. Feng Zhuo muttered, smiling as she followed. She noticed that although she had just met Mr. Mule, they were quite compatible. Maybe it was because they were both master's subordinates. If Li Xiandao knew that she thought this, he would have shaken his head and told her, you and Tian Guangming are both my subordinates, but the two of you definitely won't be close to one another. Chapter 308, worried that Tian Guangming will become stupid from the beating. Within the Bank of the Universe, Li Xiandao and 7 were discussing something. Since entering Cold Moon Sky, we have been probing and haven't done anything big. 7 reminded Li Xiandao. What do you mean by big? Li Xiandao asked. There are many people in Cold Moon Sky who owe us things. 7 told Li Xiandao. Have you arranged the contracts? Li Xiandao's eyes lit up. I have, and I've also picked a suitable contract for you. 7 nodded as she passed one to Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao picked it up and looked at it closely. Murong Longcheng pays 10,000 years lifespan to borrow 1,000 spiritual energy dragon veins. He will use them for 20,000 years and then he will return them. If he breaks the contract, he shall pay 10,000 spiritual energy dragon veins. Li Xiandao's eyes lit up when he read the details of the contract. It was actually regarding spiritual energy dragon veins. Right now, this was what Li Xiandao needed the most. Did he break the contract? Li Xiandao asked. No, there are 3 more months to 20,000 years. 7 shook her head. Then, does he plan on returning? Li Xiandao continued to ask. It seems like he is hesitating. 7 pointed at his signature that was blinking. This meant that he was hesitating. If one was determined to return, the signature would turn black. If one decided to pay it, the signature would light up. If it was blurry, this meant that the person was conflicted. Li Xiandao looked at the contract and was deep in thought. He paid 10,000 years of his lifespan for the 1,000 spiritual energy dragon veins. Now that 20,000 years have passed, even if he is at Boundless Realm, he should have 40,000 years of lifespan. Even if he broke past Boundless Realm, he would have already spent 30,000 years of his lifespan. Murong Longcheng still has a bit of lifespan. His cultivation is strong and the only thing now is that he doesn't know whether or not to return it. 7 added. So, what do you think? Li Xiandao looked at 7. Send someone there to communicate with him. If he doesn't want to return, then mark him and then deal with him. 7 said decisively. Since you were hesitating, then I shall send someone to ask you. If you still don't want to return it, then you will be blacklisted. Li Xiandao nodded and passed the contract to 7, send Heaven Heart over. 7 nodded and noted it down. She was prepared to find Heaven Heart. Li Xiandao suddenly said, after entering Cold Moon Sky, they have been cultivating. How are their cultivations like they are now? Within the Bank of the Universe, all minor matters were managed by 7. Li Xiandao was only in charge of outside matters. They have all reached Grotto Heaven Realm. Some have even condensed their 10th Grotto Heaven. Tian Guangming is hardworking and he has managed to do so. 7 smiled. Li Xiandao muttered, what a waste. Even if he condenses 10 Grotto Heavens, he will still be beaten up. What did you say? 7 looked at Li Xiandao in confusion. Nothing. Go inform Tian Guangming to stop cultivating. He won't improve much. Tell him to head out in search for spiritual energy dragon veins. Li Xiandao thought about it and wanted to give Tian Guangming a chance. He wouldn't be able to break through to Boundless in a short time. When Feng Zhuo entered the Bank of the Universe, she would take revenge for the Goddess of Light and beat him up. Tian Guangming had done well for Li Xiandao, so Li Xiandao didn't want him to get beaten up. But the Goddess of Light's words made sense. Tian Guangming took her primordial divinity and she was locked up. Now that she yielded to Feng Zhuo and merged with her, she helped Li Xiandao complete this contract. Her only wish was for Feng Zhuo to beat up Tian Guangming. This wasn't too much to ask. No matter how Li Xiandao thought about it, he felt that he couldn't stop this wish. For Tian Guangming to not get beaten up, he could only send him out. Let's see whether or not he had any luck to improve himself. Even if he was beaten up, he could reduce his injuries or even take them head-on. Li Xiandao didn't tell 7 about his considerations. This was between Tian Guangming and Goddess of Light, so as a master, he couldn't interfere. It was better for him to help Tian Guangming in private. Send Tian Guangming to find spiritual energy dragon veins. 7 didn't understand this order. What spiritual energy dragon veins could Tian Guangming find? Just send him out and also hand him a simple contract for him to solve. Just send him out. Li Xiandao felt that he had considered many things for Tian Guangming. Okay, I will inform Tian Guangming. 7 turned around and left with the contract. Li Xiandao muttered, whether or not you can escape this beating will depend on you. I am trying my best to help you. But when Li Xiandao thought about Feng Zhuo's thick bloodline power, he felt bad for Tian Guangming. Unless he had a really lucky break, he wouldn't be able to escape from that beating. Since you can't escape, then train your body so you can take more hits. Li Xiandao mourned a little for Tian Guangming. Heavenheart and Tian Guangming received the contracts at the same time. Heavenheart received Murong Longchen's contract. He looked at it closely and understood what he had to do. He had to confirm Murong Longchen's current mindset, to pay, or to break the contract. He had to have an exact answer. Tian Guangming was a little dispirited. The contract he received was simple, to kill someone. An old man. An old man with not much cultivation but who was still alive. This was because the old man broke the contract 10,000 years ago. The last master wanted to kill him, but then the Bank of the Universe was punished by the heavens and this matter was shelved. This old man lived for another 10,000 years. Now, Tian Guangming was in charge of killing him. So simple. Tian Guangming was stunned and he looked at 7. Master also told you to help him collect top-grade spiritual energy dragon veins and to not come back so quickly. 7 added. I understand. I will help Master complete this mission. Tian Guangming said emotionally. Since Master instructed him specifically instead of any one of the many others in the bank, what did that mean? This was because of trust. Tian Guangming swore that he couldn't fail Master's trust in him. He was going to find a few hundred of them. Right, did Heavenheart get Master's mission? Tian Guangming asked softly. 7 smiled, no, Heavenheart obtained one contract. Master only instructed you. That's good, that's good. When Tian Guangming heard this, he felt really good. His entire body, both inside and outside, felt much better and comfortable. As expected, Master only trusts me. Tian Guangming was drunk off of Master's trust. If Li Xiandao was here, he would have told him, I just don't want you to be beaten up by Feng Zhuo and end up turning into a fool. Chapter 309, Murong Longcheng. Heavenheart and Tian Guangming headed out and left the Bank of the Universe. One of them wanted to find Murong Longcheng while the other was going to kill the old man who had broken the contract. Li Xiandao told 7 to give Tian Guangming a simple contract, so Tian Guangming received something really simple. To kill an old man. An old man whose cultivation wasn't high. Wasn't this contract really simple? 7 picked out the most simple one out of all the contracts. Tian Guangming found it really simple. It was just an old man who was about to die, so what did he have to fear? But they didn't think about it carefully. An old man with low cultivation. How was he able to continue living? Some things weren't only as simple as what was written on the contract. Heavenheart walked out of the Bank of the Universe and followed the contract to find Murong Longcheng. He came to Heaven mountain range. Murong Longcheng was there. Heavenheart didn't know that Mr. Mule was there and he thought he was alone. He looked at the giant Heaven mountain range and his eyes shone brightly, there are so many spirit veins here. The entire mountain range was a giant treasure chest with many spiritual energy dragon veins. They said that there were 100,000 true dragons guarding this place and from the outside, one could tell that the spiritual energy here was much thicker than in other places. Heavenheart entered from the foot of the mountain on one side. He followed the directions of the contract to find Murong Longcheng. Many people opened up caves in the mountain range and cultivated here due to the thick spiritual energy. Of course, they only dared to do so on the outside. If they got a little deeper, some strong monsters might notice them and they might not be able to flee. There were also giants, monsters, top experts, etc., which made them stop in their tracks. Heavenheart walked along within the Heaven mountain range. He wore a white monk robe and gave off a gentle aura. He was a handsome young monk. But in truth, he was already over 10,000 years old. He only just regained his youthful appearance, and from a biological and mental standpoint, he was living his second life. Heavenheart's first life ended in that cave in Dali Land. The moment he entered the Bank of the Universe and became Li Xiandao's subordinate, his second life began. This was why he didn't look old at all. In the depths of the mountain range, there was a giant mountain peak that no one dared to step on. Who knew how many fierce beasts there were, and there were also monsters in the Heaven Lake which were terrifying. 20,000 years ago, there was an emperor who wanted to occupy Heaven mountain range as his family's home, but in the night, there was heavy rain and this emperor was pinned into the mountain range by a nail. It shocked the world. The emperor was really strong, otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to say that he wanted to occupy the mountain range. But overnight, he was pinned into the mountain range. This made many people fear Heaven mountain range and no one dared to occupy it. Till now, Heaven mountain range had no master. No one dared to head over to Heaven Mountain, but Heaven Heart didn't care. He held the Bank of the Universe's contract and walked in. He looked at Heaven Mountain, the giant mountain which was covered in white snow. It also reflected the sunlight on the peak. Atop it was the famous Heaven Lake. Heaven Heart looked closely at the contract and said, Murong Longcheng is here. Heaven Heart thought that Murong Longcheng would have been an elder of a large family and taken those 100 spiritual energy dragon veins for his family descendants to cultivate. But now, it seemed like he didn't have any family. He lived deep in the mountains, so why was he hesitating about paying the debt? Heaven Heart didn't understand. Heaven Mountain had so many spiritual energy dragon veins, so couldn't he just easily return 100 of them? He didn't understand, but he still stepped onto Heaven Mountain. The giant Heaven Mountain accumulated snow every year and there were many different sized peaks on it. They stood up tall like millions of swords. The highest peak was Heaven Lake. This was also the main peak which was called the Pillar of Heaven Mountain. Heaven Heart saw that Murong Longcheng wasn't on the main peak but he wasn't far away. Heaven Heart rushed over and stepped on the clear snow. It covered the entire area, and looking out, the mountains were all white. It was as if this entire world was covered in ice. With how big Heaven Mountain was, no wonder it was the center of cold moon sky. On the small peak beside the main peak was a small thatched house. It added a different color in the ice world. An old man was standing in front of it. An old man whose mental fortitude had stood the test of time. He was holding a stick and bent his body as he looked at Heaven Heart walk over. He was not surprised. He wore basic clothing and his hair was all white but it was combed in an orderly manner. Although he was old and slow, he still kept himself clean. Heaven Heart's white shirt was like snow, perfectly camouflaging with the land. His footsteps looked like he was flying. His steps didn't leave any traces behind and he arrived in front of the old man in the blink of an eye. One old and one young, one was in cloth and one was in silk as they looked at each other. Murong Longcheng? Heaven Heart asked. The old man nodded, I am Murong Longcheng. You knew that I was coming? Heaven Heart asked curiously. Murong Longcheng welcomed him in the snow. He stood at the entrance and waited for him. He obviously knew that Heaven Heart was coming, otherwise, who would he have been waiting for in this random area? There are only 3 months to the deadline and I have always remembered it. Moreover, I also felt that you were coming to find me, so I have been waiting. Murong Longcheng said truthfully. Heaven Heart understood. He couldn't see through Murong Longcheng's cultivation, so he was definitely stronger than him. Since he sensed his arrival before, this whole thing made more sense. My master told me to come and ask you why you are still hesitating since the deadline is arriving. Heaven Heart asked honestly. He didn't fear Murong Longcheng's cultivation. Instead, he felt that he wasn't any weaker. He represented the Bank of the Universe, and in terms of status, he was actually much higher. Murong Longcheng said, it is natural that I should pay. Of course, I should abide by the contract that I signed. But you still hesitated. Heaven Heart took out the contract and said. Murong Longcheng looked at the contract. This was one he signed 20,000 years ago. Damn, time really passed by so quickly. People's thoughts always change over time and due to experience. Please enter the room. I would like to solve this matter too. Murong Longcheng invited Heaven Heart in. Heaven Heart nodded, I hope that you can solve this contract too and not break it. This will be good for all of us. Chapter 310, Another Trade. Within the thatched house, everything was really simple. There was one bed, one table, 2 chairs, 1 tea flask, and 4 cups. There was nothing else. Just 4 empty walls. Heaven Heart found it weird that Murong Longcheng lived so simply. Please sit. I don't have much to welcome you with. The tea water came from the ice fountain on Heaven Mountain, so please enjoy it. Murong Longcheng pushed his hands forward and the cold tea flask boiled, instantly turning the ice inside into hot tea. When he poured it out, a fragrance entered his nose. This was just water and nothing else was added. Heaven Heart picked it up and slowly sipped. He felt really relaxed, all the way from his mouth to his throat and then to his stomach which then spread to his whole body. He praised, it is hot tea and when I drank it, it was still warm. But the moment it entered my stomach, it felt like ice on a hot summer day. It is really refreshing. This is also why I like Heaven Mountain. Murong Longcheng said. Heaven Heart looked around. Heaven Heart shouldn't lack spiritual energy dragon veins, right? Heaven Mountain has 100,000 spiritual energy dragon veins. Mirong Longcheng said proudly. Then, why are you hesitating about 1,000 spiritual energy dragon veins? Heaven Heart hesitated. That is because I can't take it out now. Mirong Longcheng said honestly. Why not? Heaven Heart couldn't understand. Heaven Mountain had 100,000 spiritual energy dragon veins, so wouldn't it be easy to take 1,000 out? Why not? Heaven Mountain didn't have so many in the past 20,000 years ago, I borrowed 1,000 and buried them here. I placed formations to help nourish the spiritual energy dragon veins. Over these 20,000 years, I nurtured 100,000 spiritual energy dragon veins. Mirong Longcheng added. So, the 1,000 you borrowed from the Bank of the Universe are underneath Heaven Lake. Heaven Heart looked towards the giant mountain. On the top of the mountain was a giant lake. Heaven Lake was surrounded by thick spiritual energy. It was really hard to believe that all of this was caused by the spiritual energy dragon veins that had been borrowed from the Bank of the Universe. The entire 100,000 true dragon layout also came about because of the Bank of the Universe's 1,000 spiritual energy dragon veins. If Mirong Longcheng wanted to return them to Li Xiandao, he had to return the ones at the bottom of the lake. But if... What is the problem? Heaven Heart asked Mirong Longcheng. Everyone is targeting Heaven Mountain. Not only the 1,000 spiritual energy dragon veins that I owe the Bank of the Universe, but there are also many secrets. Mirong Longcheng said bitterly. Your cultivation should be high, so why would you be affected? Heaven Heart didn't understand. My cultivation is high but I can't fight the entire 9 skies. Mirong Longcheng sighed. So, why did you wait for me here for? Heaven Heart asked curiously. I want to meet your master. Mirong Longcheng said firmly. Meet my master. Heaven Heart's brow rose and he looked towards Mirong Longcheng with a weird expression. Right, I want to sign another contract with him, so I need to meet him. Mirong Longcheng nodded. Please wait. Let me notify my master. Heaven Heart got up and left the thatched house. Mirong Longcheng waited quietly. He placed his hopes on the Bank of the Universe. He believed that the Bank of the Universe that he had dealings with 20,000 years ago could help him out of this tough situation he was in. Within the Bank of the Universe, Li Xiandao and Seven were listening to Heaven Heart and Mirong Longcheng's conversation. Mirong Longcheng is amazing. Seven said solemnly. Since he is amazing, the problem he faces must be huge. I might not be able to solve it now, right? Li Xiandao frowned. No, but I think that you can try. What if the rewards are huge? Seven reminded Li Xiandao. Heaven Mountain had 100,000 spiritual energy dragon veins. Once he got these 100,000 spiritual energy dragon veins, then Li Xiandao would be able to unlock the 5th mountain. Okay. Li Xiandao decided to listen to Seven's suggestion and meet Mirong Longcheng. Hand a watch over to Mirong Longcheng. Li Xiandao instructed. Seven nodded. Li Xiandao received news from Heaven Heart. After hearing Heaven Heart's report, he said right away, I know about this. Just wait there. I will receive Mirong Longcheng. Within the thatched house, Mirong Longcheng drank tea alone and waited nervously. His cultivation was really strong in Cold Moon Sky now, and in the 9 skies, he was an expert. But he was still nervous. What if the master of the Bank of the Universe was not willing to receive him? What if he lost his last chance and wasn't able to take out the 1,000 spiritual energy dragon veins from Heaven Lake? If he offended the Bank of the Universe, then he would be surrounded by enemies. Mirong Longcheng was under huge pressure. He was in a difficult situation, and no matter how he moved, he was trapped. Only the Bank of the Universe could save him. Weng weng weng. Just as Mirong Longcheng was getting nervous, a red watch appeared out of nowhere and floated silently ahead of him. Mirong Longcheng was delighted. He was familiar with this thing yet it still felt foreign somehow. He had only seen this thing once before 20,000 years ago. Mirong Longcheng smiled. He knew that the Bank of the Universe's master was willing to meet him. He had some hope. He reached out with his wrinkled hand and grabbed the blood-red watch. He trembled emotionally and crushed it. Kaka. Mirong Longcheng disappeared from the thatched hut. At that moment, Heaven Heart pushed the door open. He sat on the stool and waited for Mirong Longcheng to return. Be whether or not they signed the contract, Mirong Longcheng would still return. Within the Bank of the Universe, Mirong Longcheng returned once more. Everyone was no different from 20,000 years ago. But the details were different. There weren't so many art products here, and now the decoration was really beautiful. All of this was because of 7. Within the trading hall, Mirong Longcheng met the master who wore an ink mask and white attire and gave off a strong aura. You aren't the person from 20,000 years ago. Mirong Longcheng recognized right away that Li Xiandao's aura was totally different from the bank's master 20,000 years ago. The last owner was too arrogant while Li Xiandao's aura was relaxed. I am the new master of the Bank of the Universe. What do you want to trade? Li Xiandao asked calmly. Chapter 311, Old Man Tianqi's Strength. Mirong Longcheng sat in front of Li Xiandao and looked around. This feeling was both foreign yet familiar. 10,000 years ago, the master of the Bank of the Universe changed over. That arrogant person turned into this gentle master. He just sat there with his back straight and gave off stability like he was a mountain. He was totally different from the last master. The way he dealt with things was different too. Mirong Longcheng started to adjust the way he spoke. I want to deal with the Bank of the Universe. Mirong Longcheng said. Deal with what? Li Xiandao asked. I will give Heaven Mountain to you and all of its resources will be yours, including myself. I will be your slave and your subordinate. Mirong Longcheng said firmly. Li Xiandao frowned. When he heard about such good conditions, his first reaction wasn't joy. Instead, his heart sank. The conditions were too good such that Li Xiandao was tempted. But since Mirong Longcheng requested such conditions, he would definitely demand for more. Li Xiandao looked on calmly without any excitement. Mirong Longcheng looked at how calm Li Xiandao was and his heart sank. This master was totally different from the last one. If the former master heard these conditions, he would have agreed right away. But Li Xiandao just calmly asked, what do you want? Mirong Longcheng said honestly, Heaven Mountain, including me and the other people, are in trouble. The Bank of the Universe will help us get out of it. Li Xiandao knew that things weren't as simple as they seemed. Who knew what trouble they were in? Moreover, Li Xiandao couldn't see through Mirong Longcheng's cultivation. Since he couldn't solve the problem and needed the Bank of the Universe to protect him, one could tell how strong the enemy was. But Li Xiandao didn't reject right away. He asked calmly, you need to tell me everything and not be so haphazard. If you are going to do it like this, then there is no need for the deal to continue. Mirong Longcheng sighed and knew that Li Xiandao wasn't ordinary. He could only be well behaved and say, I will tell you everything. Li Xiandao and Seven's ears perked up. Have you ever heard of Old Man Tianqi? Mirong Longcheng asked. Li Xiandao shook his head as he didn't know. Seven knew about him, Old Man Tianqi, a top expert in the 9 skies. He is really strong and it is said that he exceeds celestials. Li Xiandao looked at Seven in shock. Exceeding celestials in the 9 skies was really amazing. It's not a legend. It's the truth. Mirong Longcheng said proudly. You know him? Li Xiandao asked. Old Man Tianqi is my senior brother. We learned from the same master and he joined earlier than me. We lived together for a few thousand years. Mirong Longcheng reminisced the past. Li Xiandao nodded, continue. My senior brother Old Man Tianqi is a genius. He reached the peak in the 9 skies long ago and broke through to celestial realm and flew to the celestial world. Mirong Longcheng talked about his senior brother with pride. But he came down a few years after he headed up. Mirong Longcheng's tone changed and he said regretfully. What? Many people wanted to head up, so why did he return? Li Xiandao didn't understand. I asked him for his reasoning before but he said that the celestial world had changed and it wasn't as good as he thought it was. It wasn't a fantasy land but hell. Mirong Longcheng said honestly. And then? Li Xiandao continued to ask. My senior brother came down alone and offended the celestial world. What made celestial world angry is the fact that the sword god who ascended along with him killed many in the celestial world before fleeing. Mirong Longcheng added. Li Xiandao squinted. He heard a familiar name. Sword God. Li Xiandao knew that Sword God's time was too short. When he was at his peak, he fought up to celestial world, killing many people before he himself died. This was the same as what Mirong Longcheng had said, the only difference was that Sword God headed down from above. Li Xiandao thought about it and then looked at Mirong Longcheng, wanting to listen more. Sword God fled and the celestials were all furious. They chased him and my senior brother also went to help him. With everyone's help, they laid out the celestial slaying formation. After sacrificing many, they killed all the celestials. When Murong Longcheng said this, he couldn't help but feel really emotional. So, you said that a bunch of Nine Skies cultivators laid out a celestial slaying formation, and after sacrificing some people, they killed all the celestials who came down from above. Li Xiandao was shocked. 7 also looked at Murong Longcheng in shock and found it unbelievable. In the 10 lands when people from 9 skies came down, no one from 10 lands could kill them. They had no choice but to send the judge who was raised by the 10 lands Dao itself. But in the 9 skies, a bunch of cultivators worked together and killed many celestials. Li Xiandao could only say that they were amazing. You are shocked, right? Murong Longcheng looked at Li Xiandao with pride. He was led by his senior brother who he respected the most. Li Xiandao nodded, and then, naturally, the celestial world was furious and they wanted to wash 9 skies with blood. My senior brother locked up the celestial gate alone and cut off the connection between 9 skies and 10 lands and celestial world. Murong Longcheng said. The celestial gate is locked. 7 couldn't help but exclaim. Right, it is locked. Celestials above can't come down easily. Even if they want to, they have to pay a huge price and it will be easy for them to die as well. This is why during these 30,000 years, very few people from the celestial world came down. The 9 skies developed by itself and this is all because of my senior brother. Murong Longcheng was filled with pride. If this is all because of old man Tianqi, then what does this have to do with you? Li Xiandao asked. Of course, Li Xiandao respected this old man Tianqi and sword god. Anyone who dared to fight people from higher worlds was an unbelievable hero. Moreover, sword god and old man Tianqi killed a bunch of celestials. Old man Tianqi even locked the celestial gate and prevented them from coming down so easily. Amazing! But what did that have to do with Murong Longcheng? Murong Longcheng sighed. A few days after that, my senior brother lost his life there and only a bit of his soul returned to Heaven Mountain to give me some instructions. He also gave me something. What? Li Xiandao asked curiously. The key to the celestial gate. Murong Longcheng said solemnly. Chapter 312, 7's Enlightenment. Murong Longcheng guarded Heaven Mountain and tried his best to hide and develop his strength. He did all of this to protect the last thing that his senior brother had given him. The key to Celestial Gate. The key to open the Celestial Gate. With this key on him, once people from the Celestial world took it and opened the Celestial Gate, the 9 skies would return to normal. The Celestial world would definitely interfere and 9 skies wouldn't be able to grow. 9 skies would be trashed and become Celestial world's back garden which anyone could trample on. 10 lands didn't want itself to become 9 skies' puppet, so they developed the world crosser judge. 9 skies didn't want to be under the Celestial world, so Sword God and Old Man Tianqi gave up their lives to seal the Celestial Gate. Since Celestial world couldn't head down, they wouldn't be able to control 9 skies members so easily. This was why people from the Celestial world wanted Murong Longcheng's key. Thus, it was easy to explain why Murong Longcheng was so worried. He felt that if the Bank of the Universe didn't help him, then he would be dead. He didn't have terrifying cultivation like his senior brother did to be able to handle people from the Celestial world. He wasn't able to smash Celestial world so badly that they remembered his identity and name. This was why he came to the Bank of the Universe to trade with Li Xiandao so that the Bank of the Universe could protect him. As long as the contract is signed, then I will hand the key to you. As long as you help solve Heaven Mountain's problem, then we will belong to you. Murong Longcheng said. Wait. Li Xiandao looked at Murong Longcheng and asked, you said to solve Heaven Mountain's problem, so what problem is it? After these 30,000 years of being unable to interfere in 9 skies matters, Celestial world was furious and couldn't take it anymore. They supported many factions in the 9 skies and they are rushing over to Heaven Mountain. This is even more terrifying than what happened 10,000 years ago and we won't be able to block it. Murong Longcheng was worried. 000 years ago, the emperor who wanted to occupy Heaven Mountain was a friend of Celestials. In the end, the people from Heaven Mountain mountain range worked together to kill him and threaten the others who were tempted. But 10,000 years had passed and the people the Celestials developed were getting stronger and stronger. Not only Cold Moon Sky, but the other people also entered Cold Moon Sky and headed near Heaven Mountain to start to probe. This was also the reason why Murong Longcheng wanted to sign the contract with Li Xiandao so eagerly. They couldn't handle this danger. After Li Xiandao heard this, he frowned. Just like how Murong Longcheng felt pressured, Li Xiandao felt pressured too. He was wondering why so many people were gathering Heaven Mountain, so this was the reason. All of this was them probing. The true dangers were yet to occur. Murong Longcheng explained himself and then looked at Li Xiandao. He couldn't see his expression from the ice-cold mask and didn't know what Li Xiandao was thinking. Murong Longcheng was really conflicted. If Li Xiandao didn't agree, he would fight to the death, but the outcome would be really intense. How are you so sure that they will come together? Li Xiandao frowned and asked. I think those coming are all disciples from the big families. Li Xiandao added. For example, the Gold family's Feng Longke, the Qing family's Qing Yao, etc. I have a feeling that this time will be much worse than before. The emperor 10,000 years ago was only killed because we went all out. This time won't be so simple. Murong Longcheng said firmly. Li Xiandao couldn't help but look at Seven. Was this contract worth signing? Actually, Li Xiandao wasn't willing to sign it. Although he was at Grotto Heaven Realm and could suppress everyone at Boundless Realm, what about anything exceeding that? Li Xiandao wanted to improve quickly, but he needed time too. Not to mention the fact that Li Xiandao's subordinates were only at Grotto Heaven Realm and Boundless Realm. How could they deal with the people that Celestials had nurtured? Seven smiled at Murong Longcheng. Go rest. We will head to discuss and then we will tell you whether or not we will sign it. Murong Longcheng nodded and waited in trepidation. Li Xiandao and Seven instantly disappeared. On the square outside the trading hall, Li Xiandao and Seven appeared. Li Xiandao shook his head. I don't want to sign this contract. The rewards are huge, but there are risks and dangers too. Li Xiandao felt that he couldn't deal with those from the celestial world right now, so he didn't want to sign the contract. But Seven walked forward with a smile and took off Li Xiandao's mask. You are afraid because you heard that they are from celestial world. Li Xiandao looked at Seven's wide smile and nodded, a little. I am only at Grotto Heaven Realm, and even if I can suppress people at Boundless Realm, there is still a huge gap between myself and them. Seven said gently, anyone in 9 skies and 10 lands will be afraid when they hear about people from celestial world. That's quite normal. But don't treat them as gods. If they were really so terrifying, then how could Murong Longcheng have defended the key for 30,000 years? Li Xiandao was stunned. Seven's words were like a giant hammer that smashed away the worry and fear he had in his heart. Right. If celestial world was so strong, then Murong Longcheng would have lost the key long ago. He wouldn't have been able to hold on for 30,000 years. Let me tell you that there are 2 ways for celestial world people to head down. Do you know? Seven got close to Li Xiandao and she was still holding Li Xiandao's mask. She whispered in his ear. Her scent entered his nose and her aura wrapped around him. He looked at her perfect face close up and asked, what? First, you'll give up your body and head down in your soul form. You will then steal a body and burn that body's potential to reach your peak. Seven whispered into Li Xiandao's ear. Li Xiandao's eyes slowly lit up. The second way is to reincarnate. To give up your cultivation and body in the celestial world, allowing them to open up the path of reincarnation and send you back to the 9 skies. You will start from the beginning and awaken your memories. You will reach the peak of your cultivation in the 9 skies and then come back to get the key. Seven said. Li Xiandao had an idea, these 2 methods would bring huge losses to them, right? Of course. With the first plan, they would be losing their celestial bodies. If one steals a body and burns its potential, one will quickly grow old. This is why they have to get the celestial key swiftly and then open the gate and return to their own celestial bodies. Seven nodded. He placed her head on his shoulder and said. You don't have to worry about them. Without the celestial gate, they don't have terrifying powers. In my heart, you are more amazing than any of them. Do you understand? Seven muttered and only Li Xiandao could hear it. Li Xiandao helped her up and took his mask. He said confidently, I will sign the contract because of your words. I will also make these celestials kneel down. Heaven Mountain is mine and no one will be able to take it. Seven looked at Li Xiandao in satisfaction, this is right. This is the attitude I would like to see. Li Xiandao wore the mask and walked towards the trading hall. He said loudly, help me prepare the contract. I am going to fight with these celestials to see who is more amazing. Chapter 313, Signing the Contract. Pang! Li Xiandao pushed open the doors of the trading hall and there was a loud thud. He strolled in and the first sentence he said was, "I can sign the contract but I have some details that need to be changed." Mirong Longcheng, who was really nervous, was now filled with delight. He turned his head quickly and said anxiously, "No problem. We can discuss the details." He thought that Li Xiandao wouldn't agree to the contract. After all, he would become the celestial world's enemy. Mirong Longcheng made the same mistake as Li Xiandao previously. After hearing that they were facing celestials from the celestial world, his first reaction was to think that they were strong and terrifying and that he wouldn't be able to win. They didn't understand the situation and Mirong Longcheng placed the opposition in such a strong position. This placed huge pressure on himself. He definitely didn't know how tough it was for the Celestials to come down with the Celestial Gate closed, which was why he was so anxious. This was also the same situation as everyone in the 9 skies and 10 lands. When they heard about Celestials, they started to be afraid right away. In truth, the so-called Celestials could be defeated. No matter whether they used the first method or the second by reincarnation, without an exception, they weren't omnipotent Celestials. They were no different from people from the 9 skies. All of this was why they wanted the key so badly. Of course, Li Xiandao knew about this because of 7 and Mirong Longcheng didn't know about it. He felt that he couldn't defend against those Celestials, and in his mind, they were really terrifying. Li Xiandao sat on his seat and wiped aside the worry and nervousness from before. He was really confident, "I can sign it, but before that, I need to ask you. Can you make every decision regarding Heaven Mountain?" Mirong Longcheng nodded, "I can. I have a name in the Heaven Mountain. I am the Tomb Guardian of Heaven Mountain. I developed Heaven Mountain and recruited a bunch of orphans, homeless people and monsters to help defend. So, if I give an order, they won't object." Li Xiandao nodded in satisfaction, "Since that is the case, then you will use Heaven Mountain and the loyalty of everyone on it as the price in exchange for the Bank of the Universe's support." "Right, everyone on Heaven Mountain, including myself, will be under you. Heaven Mountain will be yours too. The 100,000 spiritual energy dragon veins that I developed will belong to you too." Mirong Longcheng said firmly. As long as he could defend Heaven Mountain range and his buddies who had guarded the place alongside him and also the key that his senior brother gave him, he was satisfied. As for being a subordinate, nicely put, he would become a subordinate, but if one was honest, he would be a slave. But he didn't care. The Bank of the Universe was strong and mysterious. He didn't have the pride and ambition that his senior brother had. So, he could accept being a subordinate. "In the contract, you must add that if you go against my thoughts, I can kill all of you." Li Xiandao was cold. He had to add that. Mirong Longcheng took in a deep breath. Wasn't that too cruel? Their lives would be controlled by Li Xiandao in the future. Normal people wouldn't accept that. Mirong Longcheng considered it and accepted, which was why he wasn't a normal person. "I am okay. The people on Heaven Mountain are okay with it too." Mirong Longcheng gritted his teeth and agreed. "Okay, if people from Heaven Mountain are not okay with it, then you are responsible." Li Xiandao warned. Mirong Longcheng nodded, "I am sure that they are fine." 7. Have you prepared the contract? Li Xiandao shouted. "Yes." 7's sweet voice entered his ears and she walked over with the contract. She passed it to Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao took it and passed it to Mirong Longcheng. "Since it is fine, then you can sign the contract. After that, bring it out and let all the people from Heaven Mountain sign it. They must place a part of their soul inside to complete the contract." Mirong Longcheng took a look before signing. After signing it, for some reason, he felt more at ease. Celestials didn't seem so terrifying as they had people from the Bank of the Universe on their side. What he didn't know was that no one in the Bank of the Universe was stronger than him now. Li Xiandao looked at his signature and was pleased. "Let them all sign it and then let Heaven Heart bring 10,000 top-grade spiritual energy dragon veins back." Mirong Longcheng took the contract and nodded, "I will prepare 10,000 spiritual energy dragon veins. You don't need to touch the 1,000 in Heaven Lake. I just need 10,000 top-quality spiritual energy dragon veins." Li Xiandao was satisfied. Li Xiandao reached out and said, "Hand me the celestial gate keys." Mirong Longcheng took in a deep breath like he was heaving a sigh of relief. He took out a sword-like key from his body and passed it to Li Xiandao. "This is the key to the celestial gate. Its quality itself is really amazing and even celestial artifacts can't slice it. It is really useful." Mirong Longcheng said. Li Xiandao took it and it felt cold. There was a terrifying power sleeping within and it seemed like it would only awaken when he got close to the celestial gate. Very good. You can go back. Li Xiandao nodded in satisfaction and waved his hands. Murong Longchen's body turned into dust and disappeared. Within the Bank of the Universe's trading hall, only Li Xiandao and Seven were left. Li Xiandao passed the key to Celestial Gate to Seven and told her to keep it. Once the 10,000 spiritual energy dragon veins are back, you can unlock the 5th mountain peak. When the time comes, the Bank of the Universe will be able to travel through space. As long as you have enough energy, you can go anywhere in the 9 skies and 10 lands. Seven said happily. I still need to thank you for enlightening me, otherwise, I would have rejected that contract. Li Xiandao took off his mask and looked at Seven gently. Seven's face turned red from Li Xiandao's gaze. I am the manager of the Bank of the Universe. Isn't this what I should do? Li Xiandao shook his head. I don't like it when you call me master. I also don't like the cold master and servant relationship between us. You want to have another relationship? Seven's face flushed red and her eyes flashed. Yes. Li Xiandao nodded his head firmly. Then, you need to work harder. The Bank of the Universe is not even 0.1% that of its peak. You might end up disappearing like the previous masters, so I won't have a relationship with such a person. Seven gave Li Xiandao a reply for the first time. Although she rejected him, it still gave Li Xiandao some confidence. Li Xiandao smiled, you are right. I will work hard to strengthen the Bank of the Universe and let Miss Seven follow me. Pui, who is Miss Seven? She left with her face flushing red. She didn't want to continue talking with Li Xiandao. She felt that it was enough to give Li Xiandao some hope today. If they continued to talk, her face would get so red it would drip blood. Li Xiandao looked at her shy behavior and smiled. He didn't stop her. At this point, he felt more at ease. Although Seven didn't say that she liked Li Xiandao, what happened today gave him some hope. But her red face was better than all sorts of joyful words and teasing speeches. Those Celestials had no chance of getting the Celestial Gate key at all. Chapter 314, Sword God's Sadness. Murong Longcheng returned to Heaven Mountain holding a contract in his hands. Heavenheart had been waiting. When he saw Murong Longcheng's sudden appearance, he asked curiously, what is the situation now? From now onward, we are one family. Murong Longcheng said simply. The pressure on him was gone and he felt really relaxed. Master took you in. Heavenheart was shocked. Master also told me to let you bring 10,000 top-grade spiritual energy dragon veins back. Murong Longcheng said. Congratulations on becoming Master's subordinate. Heavenheart congratulated him. To him, it was a huge blessing to become Li Xiandao's subordinate. The benefits were just innumerable. Murong Longcheng smiled and nodded his head, I will go take out 10,000 spiritual energy dragon veins for you to bring back to Master. Okay. Heavenheart nodded. When he heard that Murong Longcheng was Master's subordinate, he became much warmer. Since he was Master's subordinate, they were one family and they were just serving Master. Murong Longcheng and Heavenheart started to collect the spiritual energy dragon veins. Along the way, they let some of the monsters and experts sign their names as well as form spirit seals on the contracts. Murong Longcheng's honor and prestige in Heaven Mountain wasn't to be doubted. The moment he said something, others would just do it without even asking. After all, Murong Longcheng was the biggest reason for Heaven Mountain's development to its current state. If they didn't follow Murong Longcheng's rules, they would have been chased out long ago. In just a day, Murong Longcheng completed the contract and the spiritual energy dragon veins matter. He handed both to Heavenheart for him to bring back. Hand these to Master. I will wait for his orders on Heaven Mountain. Murong Longcheng said. Don't worry. Heavenheart drew the space-crossing seal and rushed towards 10,000 Spirit Holy Land. Within the Bank of the Universe, Legacy Hall headed towards Legacy Hall after Murong Longcheng left. He didn't come here to spar. In truth, he had sucked all of Zhao Wuji, Zhong Beishan, Sword God, and the priest's boundless realm Dao attainments. There was nothing more for him to absorb. He actually came to find Sword God. He really wanted to ask whether or not the battle where Sword God died was real. Seeing Li Xiandao walk towards his tomb and stop, Sword God's heart shook. Why are you here? Sword God saw Li Xiandao and his legs went soft. He was afraid. Bank Master, you can't keep abusing the four of us, Right. Sword God was helpless. I didn't come here to comprehend Dao attainments. I have something to ask you. Li Xiandao said calmly. What? Sword God heaved a sigh of relief. It was great that he was here to ask things and not spar. How did you die in the end? Li Xiandao asked. Why are you asking this? Sword God coughed and he didn't want to reply to that question. I just got the key to Celestial Gate and I heard about things from 10,000 years ago. Li Xiandao said. Sword God's expression changed as he stared at Li Xiandao solemnly. Key to Celestial Gate. Right, the Celestial Gate was locked by someone and the key was taken. Without it, the gate wouldn't open and it would be difficult for people from the celestial world to come down. Li Xiandao nodded his head. He did it, old man Tianqi really did it, he closed the Celestial Gate. Sword God had a weird expression and he muttered both with sadness and emotion. Li Xiandao looked on and he was sure that Mirong Longcheng was right. Sword God participated in that battle and he had probably died when they killed the Celestials. Master of the bank, do you know how old man Tianqi is now? Sword God asked eagerly. He died. Li Xiandao's eyes drooped and he said solemnly. Sword God closed his eyes and he sighed, the heavens really are jealous of geniuses. Old man Tianqi is so talented and killed a celestial when he was in the 9 skies. He was just born in the wrong place. If he was born in the celestial world, he would be extremely famous. Sword God's only brother was old man Tianqi. The two of them knew each other when they were young. They went through troubles, drank wine together, fought together, went to brothels together, flew to celestial world together, killed celestials together. They did many things together. Sword God really respected old man Tianqi's talent and he said that only 10 of him could compare to one of his fingers. He was the top supporter of old man Tianqi. But now, Sword God had a bit of his soul left while old man Tianqi was totally gone. Before dying, old man Tianqi did something completely unprecedented. Since 9 skies and 10 lands and celestial world were separated and the situation had changed, no one managed to close the Celestial Gate. But old man Tianqi did it alone. He broke the path for celestial world people to come down and for a full 30,000 years, no one opened it before. Li Xiandao asked curiously, after entering the celestial world what happened such that both of you decided to head out? The first thing we did was meet the Heaven Court law enforcement team. They wanted to enslave everyone who flew up for 100 years and those who didn't want to be slaves had to join the Heaven Court and sign a contract for 3,000 years. Anyone who resisted would be killed. Sword God was annoyed. He didn't want to sign the contract, so he killed many people out of rage. Sword God was at his peak then and with one sword he killed so many people. No one expected him to have such strength right after he flew up. Sword God fled back to 9 skies and worked with old man Tianqi to kill all those from Celestial World Heaven Court who came back down. That fight was really intense and both sides lost many people. To stop them from escaping, Sword God sacrificed his life to hold them back and he perished together with them. The difference was that a bit of his soul made its way to the bank of the universe. Old man Tianqi really died. Heaven Court is really overbearing. Li Xiandao muttered. They are bullies in the celestial world and no one can take advantage of them. Sword God shook his head and sat down. He laid on his own tomb and looked forwards restlessly. Life and death are normal. You are already dead and you were lucky to survive, so don't be too sad. Li Xiandao knew that Sword God missed old man Tianqi. Master of the bank, let me be alone. You made me think about things that I had long forgotten. I need some time to think. Sword God sighed. Okay, I shall leave. Li Xiandao nodded his head. He respected Sword God's wishes and left. After he left, Sword God teared up. He raised his head and looked into the sky. Who knew what he was thinking about? Chapter 315, Unlocking Fifth Mountain. Li Xiandao returned to the square over at the Bank of the Universe and didn't leave. He cultivated for just a short while before seeing that Heavenheart had returned. Heavenheart rushed overnight, using the space-crossing seal like he had unlimited true chi. He dashed back to meet Li Xiandao. Heavenheart knew that Li Xiandao badly needed 10,000 spiritual energy dragon veins, so he had to quickly return. Master, I have 10,000 spiritual energy dragon veins with me and also the contracts of everyone on Heaven Mountain including Mirong Longcheng. Every monster and beast there has signed it. Heavenheart said respectfully and handed over a storage treasure and the contracts. Li Xiandao stood up and looked at Heavenheart. He took the 10,000 spiritual energy dragon veins and said in satisfaction, "Not bad. It hasn't been easy for you to rush back. Head down to cultivate and also pass the contract to 7. Heavenheart turned around and left to find 7. The slightly above average storage treasure in Li Xiandao's hands was very spacious. It was like a stretch of wide grassland that was filled with 10,000 top-quality spiritual energy dragon veins, taking up most of the space within. Kong! 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 These 10,000 spiritual energy dragon veins were all of top quality and some had birthed their own consciousness. Now that they were squeezed together, they hollered in unhappiness. Li Xiandao looked at the sky and said calmly, "The Dao, I want to unlock the 5th mountain." Explosion! A giant suction force appeared in the sky which sucked away the storage treasure in Li Xiandao's hands. Kaka! Under this huge pressure, the storage treasure instantly exploded. The 10,000 spiritual energy dragon veins flew out and roared in rage. They were about to scatter and flee. But the Dao had locked onto them, not giving them the chance to do so at all. Explosion! The giant suction force turned into a terrifying arm. The 10,000 spiritual energy dragon veins were tugged towards the sky. Li Xiandao looked on and entered a state of enlightenment. The Heaven Dao's movement contained naturally formed Daos, much thicker than those of the priest and the other 3. This short time was enough for Li Xiandao to comprehend many things. Ka. Li Xiandao instantly comprehended many things. He started to transform. It was as if something in his body had broken open. That grab from the Heaven Dao seemed like it could birth limitless amounts of sword energy. Li Xiandao closed his eyes and his body slowly floated into the sky. He stepped in midair and his 10 grotto heavens appeared beside him. 10 lands. Explosion! The 10 lands all exploded, turning into dust which entered his body. Perfect body! At that moment, Li Xiandao absorbed the power of the 10 lands and stepped into boundless realm without any obstruction. He was even improving, progressing towards an unknown future. How huge were the 10 lands? They were 10 huge worlds, one more world than the 9 skies. How terrifying was the power for them all to enter Li Xiandao's body at once. Li Xiandao's cultivation increased like a ship in a rising tide. The energy of the 10 lands was like water while Li Xiandao's body was like the deep abyss. When water was poured into the deep abyss, a small ship would keep on rising, reaching a shocking level. Li Xiandao's cultivation proceeded towards an unknown realm. This change lasted for a total of 10 days. Li Xiandao broke through too quickly, and when he opened his eyes, he realized that nothing had changed and only a second had passed. But 7 who had been taking care of him said, 10 days has passed. What realm are you at now? 10 days has passed. Li Xiandao was stunned. To him, it had only been an instant. You had entered a state of enlightenment and even if a year passed, you would think that it had only been a moment. What realm have you broken through to? 7 asked curiously. Li Xiandao landed and smiled, boundless realm. I don't think so. 10 lands has such enormous power and now that it's entered your body, you are only at boundless realm. 7 was suspect. You will know when I fight those celestials. Li Xiandao kept the mystery and just smiled. He didn't say anything and just looked at that newly unlocked mountain. The mountain was the smallest out of those unlocked. It wasn't small in height but in size. It shot up toward the clouds like the rest and it was very majestic. However, it was a steep cliff. This is the teleportation mountain. From now onward, you can head anywhere in the 9 skies and 10 lands. As long as you inject spirit meridians into burn, you can cross worlds. 7 introduced. I still need to burn spirit meridians. Li Xiandao said. Of course. You have to burn quite a few too. 7 smiled. How many each time? Li Xiandao asked curiously. 1,000 top-grade spiritual energy dragon veins for one time. 7 raised her jade-like finger. Li Xiandao blinked in shock, so expensive. You are crossing worlds. 7 said to her. She felt like it was to be expected. Okay, then if I teleport within Cold Moon Sky, how many spirit meridians do I need? Li Xiandao barely accepted and asked. No need, it is free. 7 said. That's good. Li Xiandao nodded in satisfaction and asked, I was away for 10 days, so what is the situation at Heaven Mountain like? Right, Murong Longcheng sent news that the various factions have sent forces toward Heaven Mountain. They are staring aggressively and the situation is not good. It seems like they are about to enter the depths of Heaven Mountain. 7 said solemnly. Li Xiandao frowned and asked, only the scouts? Yes, only the scouts for now. 7 nodded. Send all my subordinates over to defend human celestial. Li Xiandao said coldly. 7 instantly informed Battle Angel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Moon Angel Yuzuna, Fallen Angel Lucifer, Wu Xianer, Chu Bai, Gong Yu, Li Wuya, Demon Frog, Wild Boar, God Eagle, Pangolin, Heaven Swallowing Dog, Barbaric Cow and Flood Dragon. After they entered Cold Moon Sky, they cultivated and improved a lot. This was the right time for them to show their skills. How are the 4 angels merging? Li Xiandao asked. Their merger is the best news. After entering Cold Moon Sky, they obtained huge amounts of spiritual energy and improved so much in a day. At the moment, I can't evaluate their strength accurately. 7 smiled. She was quite satisfied with the 4 angels. Very good, let the God race angels under me show themselves in Cold Moon Sky. Li Xiandao nodded his head in joy and anticipation. Right, teleport the Bank of the Universe to Heaven Mountain. I am going to monitor the battle from there. Li Xiandao told 7 to try the strength of the teleportation peak. 7 nodded and activated the teleportation peak to teleport the Bank of the Universe from 10,000 Spirit Holy Land to Heaven Mountain. Chapter 316, Source Swallowing Demon Technique. Explosion. The Bank of the Universe teleported across many worlds and appeared in the sky above Heaven Mountain. Li Xiandao released nearly all of his subordinates here. Apart from the 2 little girls Tianya and Li Qing'er and La Mo who didn't head out. La Mo was too weak and he was left in the Bank of the Universe to take care of the 2 girls. The others were all sent out to welcome this huge war. Within Heaven Mountain, Mirong Longcheng was the happiest person when Li Xiandao's Bank of the Universe descended. He immediately came out to meet Li Xiandao. Greetings Master. Mirong Longcheng was delighted. Li Xiandao nodded and asked, what is the situation now? It is quite uncertain. The various aristocratic families and faction disciples have appeared and are testing us. Mirong Longcheng replied. Li Xiandao stood with his arms behind his back and walked on the square. How many experts does Heaven Mountain have? Mirong Longcheng said truthfully, I am one. There is also the poisonous python in Heaven Lake. I took in a kid who uses swords and there is this giant titan that can easily toss mountains toward the stars. Just these 4? Li Xiandao asked. These are the only 4 that can be considered experts, the rest aren't that good and are just around Boundless Realm. They can fend off the younger generations of the various factions. Mirong Longcheng said slowly. His rules for calculating experts were different from Li Xiandao's. These 3 people were experts in his eyes and adding in himself, they were the strongest in Heaven Mountain. Li Xiandao thought about it, let them come and see me. Mirong Longcheng headed out and brought these 3 terrifying fellows into the Bank of the Universe. The poisonous python turned into a human who had a dark and cold expression. His eyes were vertical and looked really evil. The kid carried a wooden sword and wore basic clothing. His hair hung behind his body as he walked in. The giant titan was 10 meters tall and this was even after he shrunk. He had immense strength and no blade or spear could pierce through it. The 3 of them entered the Bank of the Universe along with Mirong Longcheng. They were in awe of the Bank of the Universe's strength and mystery. After they saw Li Xiandao, they were all shocked. They realized that they couldn't see through Li Xiandao. He stood there like a bottomless abyss. He was just so frightening. This caused them to stop doubting Li Xiandao so much. Similar to Mirong Longcheng, they greeted him respectfully. If Li Xiandao knew what they were thinking, he would have definitely told them that his cultivation was not as high as theirs and that the reason why they couldn't tell was because of the Bank of the Universe. Within the Bank of the Universe, no one could see through Li Xiandao's cultivation. Within the Bank of the Universe, Li Xiandao was a god and he could easily kill these people who had higher cultivation than him. This is our master, the master of the Bank of the Universe. Mirong Longcheng said respectfully. Hello, master. The giant titan was first to speak. His 10-meter-tall body couldn't shrink anymore as the cultivation technique he used didn't allow him to. Li Xiandao nodded, you have the titan race bloodline. Right, I do. Luckily, Uncle Mirong took me in and raised me. The titan replied. His voice was like thunder and his breathing caused a small breeze. Li Xiandao looked at him and asked, you don't seem very familiar with your own strength. I don't have Titan race cultivation techniques, so I let Dali cultivate human techniques, which resulted in his growth not being so fast and his body growing larger and larger. Mirong Longcheng sighed and felt really guilty. Titan giant Dali had huge potential, but without the suitable cultivation technique, he was being delayed. Li Xiandao thought about it. He reached out and a book appeared in his hands. Since you call me master, then you are my men from now onward. This is the giant god spirit that the Titans cultivate. Li Xiandao passed it to him. Dali was delighted. He knelt down right away and pushed his heads forwards. Master, this is our Titan race's lost secret technique and is the top body cultivation technique, so how do you have it? Of course, I collected it. Li Xiandao tossed the book out and Dali hurried to catch it. He was filled with joy. Thank you, master. Now, I finally have something to get strong with. Master. Seeing how Li Xiandao gave Dali a technique without any hesitation, the poisonous python couldn't sit still anymore. It forced out a smile and shouted. A poisonous python. Who knew how long its main body was? A poisonous python whose face was dark and sunken. Each day it actually called Li Xiandao his master and even forced a smile. Mirong Longchen's face twitched. These shameless fellows. You called me master and this is also our first meeting, so naturally, I have to reward you. Li Xiandao nodded in satisfaction. The poisonous python's smile became even wider and he didn't seem as dark and serious as before. When the kid carrying the wooden sword saw this, he hesitated and shouted, Master. Hello master, I am Ling Wu. Li Xiandao grinned. As expected, rewards were the best way of calming the hearts of people. What cultivation techniques do both of you use? Li Xiandao asked calmly. I cultivate the 5 poison true technique, but it won't allow me to improve any more. The poisonous python said helplessly. Ling Wu knew that it wasn't time to hold back anything and said, I am cultivating the Fallen Sun sword technique, but it cannot ignite my potential anymore. The moment Li Xiandao wanted to speak, Mirong Longcheng coughed. This. Master. Mirong Longcheng smiled like a flower as he looked at Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao was stunned and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You lack techniques too. Yes, if I had any I would have to give it to them, right? Mirong Longcheng was frustrated. Didn't you have a master and a legacy? Li Xiandao didn't understand. My master died early. Mirong Longcheng felt wronged. What about your senior brother? Li Xiandao asked. His techniques were too difficult to understand and I couldn't cultivate them. They weren't suitable for me either. Mirong Longcheng felt embarrassed. Hand over your senior brother's technique for me to take a look. Li Xiandao reached out. Mirong Longcheng immediately took out senior brother's cultivation technique. He had left it for tens of thousands of years and wasn't able to cultivate it. Li Xiandao took a look. It was the source swallowing demon technique. He took a close look at it. This technique used swallowing as the main system to build an extremely strong danshan. Anything that entered the body could be swallowed and turned into energy. As long as the danshan was strong enough, you could even absorb the energy of celestials. This explained how old man Tianke could kill celestials in the 9 skies. Hand this book to me. I will pass the 3 of you one ancient technique. Li Xiandao said. No problem. Mirong Longcheng looked at Li Xiandao with anticipation. Chapter 317, Tian Guangming's excitement. Li Xiandao took the source swallowing demon technique and he gave each of them one technique. What Mirong Longcheng got was an ancient dream technique, 3000 years dream. This technique could drag one into a dream. It would be mystical like a dream, but the Dao would be real and one wouldn't be able to tell whether or not it was real. The poisonous python had the great poison source with which one could cultivate and find the source of all poisons. It allowed one to turn the essence of the Dao into a poison to corrode the enemies. It was an invincible killing technique. Ling Wu got what Li Xiandao cultivated before, slaying the heavens. Slaying the heavens was an amazing and very strong technique. Till now, Li Xiandao still hadn't stopped cultivating it. After Ling Wu acquired it, he took a close look and was delighted. He was touched. Thank you master. This time he sounded much more serious than before. Titan Dali also said respectfully, thank you, master. Both the poisonous python and Mirong Longcheng looked at Li Xiandao emotionally. They didn't care whether he was a good master, but at least he was generous. He gave them 4 race ancient techniques right away and wasn't afraid that they would ditch him. Li Xiandao looked at them and said calmly, all of you can head back to cultivate and comprehend your techniques. Heaven Mountain won't be calm for long. This place belongs to me now and no one else can touch it. Understood. The four of them cupped their fists, and at this moment, they truly respected Li Xiandao. Things were just so practical. An ancient technique was enough to recruit all of them. When they signed and left their soul imprints, they already belonged to Li Xiandao. Now, they yielded so quickly because they realized that Li Xiandao was a nice person. On the first meeting he even gave them all ancient techniques. It seemed like there was nothing wrong having a master like this. Go back and cultivate. I still need the few of you to attack when the time comes. Li Xiandao said as he waved his hands. Goodbye, master. Murong Longcheng was the first to leave. The other three then said goodbye to Li Xiandao and followed behind Murong Longcheng to return to Heaven Mountain. After they left, Li Xiandao picked up the source swallowing demon technique and took a close look. He shook his head regretfully, this is not suitable for me. My sword is not suitable for cultivating this demonic technique. Li Xiandao had trained in the sword for so long. To suddenly switch to a demon path technique would be asking for death. He wasn't so foolish to do that. Although I am unable to cultivate it, I can still learn some of the daos within and it might still be helpful to me. Li Xiandao nodded his head, taking the source swallowing demon technique into the trading hall. Hong! The doors to the trading hall closed right away and the explosion from swords spread out from within. Li Xiandao was improving. Everyone at Heaven Mountain was really nervous and many geniuses had come over. Top disciples from the various factions, freaks, heirs to dynasties, etc. These people gathered in Heaven Mountain and were all confident in themselves. There were dozens of battles each day and some low-profile geniuses were noticed. Many of them had become famous because of these battles. They went from nothing to top talents in just a few battles. Of course, that didn't include Tian Guangming. He had left the Bank of the Universe for around a dozen days and was searching for that person on the contract. Damn, I am following the contract so far to the northwest. I have teleported so much that I am about to vomit and then this old man just disappeared. Tian Guangming was furious. After heading to the northwest, the old man disappeared. The contract showed that the old man appeared near Heaven Mountain. Tian Guangming rushed from the northwest back to Heaven Mountain to find and kill that old man who broke the contract. He had broken the contract for 10,000 years and deserved to die. But when Tian Guangming arrived near Heaven Mountain, the person disappeared, which angered him. This broken contract can't even locate a person, making me run all over. Tian Guangming furiously tossed the contract on the ground. He squatted by the side and felt really depressed. He originally wanted to cultivate after leaving the Bank of the Universe and not allow Heaven Heart to catch up to him or exceed him. But during these dozens of days, he was just rushing to the location. How could he cultivate? Tian Guangming didn't even see the person. The only improvement he made was in the space crossing seals. But this was just something used to flee. Ding! The contract shone once more. Tian Guangming was annoyed, here it is again and it is so far away. I am really going to get mad. He had already run around for weeks and hadn't seen that person at all. For the first time, Tian Guangming was wondering whether or not time was passing too slowly or whether there was a problem with the contract. Tian Guangming picked up the contract he tossed on the ground and took a look. The signature shone and indicated that the person was 100 meters behind him. Tian Guangming stood up in shock and turned his head in disbelief. 100 meters. It wasn't that far. He turned his head but didn't see an old man. There wasn't an old man with low cultivation. On the contrary, he saw an expert. A young expert. It wasn't the old man recorded on the contract. What? Tian Guangming opened the contract in shock and looked at him once more. The contract was sure that it was the young man ahead of him. The young man wasn't alone and there were many by his side. 100 meters was crossed really quickly and he passed by Tian Guangming's face. Tian Guangming hesitated and shouted, "Oi, are you Ma Qing?" Ma Qing was the person who broke the contract 10,000 years ago. I am. And, who are you? Ma Qing frowned. He looked at Tian Guangming and realized that he didn't know who he was, so he asked. Are you really Ma Qing? Tian Guangming was shocked. Seven said that he was an old man who didn't have high cultivation. But Ma Qing was right in front of him. He was obviously a young man and his energy was surging. He was extremely strong and totally different from an old man who was about to die. Was it Seven's information that was wrong? Or, was something off with this Ma Qing? Tian Guangming looked on in confusion. What are you looking at? Our Ma family hired Ma Qing as a helper and he is extremely strong. You can't stop us, so what do you want? A Grotto Heaven Realm kid in Ma family said unhappily. Ma Qing continued to look at Tian Guangming with a frown. His eyes shifted and he noticed the contract in Tian Guangming's hands. His pupils constricted. He looked at Tian Guangming solemnly and then his gaze became really sharp. Tian Guangming grinned, you know who I am now. Looking at you, you must be the person I am looking for. Ma Qing, you broke the contract 10,000 years ago and have enjoyed your life. It is time for you to die. Tian Guangming smiled happily. He was really excited. He had searched for over 10 days and finally found his target, so how could he not be happy? Chapter 318, Ma Qing's Strength. Ma Qing stared at the contract in Tian Guangming's hands and his breathing became more and more rushed. 10,000 years has passed and all of you are still chasing me. Ma Qing clenched his fists in rage. It is the right thing to do to pay the debts you owe. You broke the contract and 10,000 years have already passed. You owe the Bank of the Universe your life, and no matter what, we are going to get it back. Tian Guangming said firmly. After confirming that he was the target in the contract, Tian Guangming didn't care whether or not he was an old man. As long as he killed him, he would have completed his mission. You can take the life I owe you. Ma Qing mocked and looked at Tian Guangming in disdain. In his eyes, Tian Guangming was just weak and wasn't good enough to take his life. I will take your life now. Tian Guangming didn't want to talk any nonsense. He had searched for Ma Qing for over 10 days and wasted his own time. Now that he found him, he wouldn't continue spouting nonsense. Hong! Tian Guangming kept the contract and punched forwards. The fist caused a bright light to shoot forward. Like a bottle being broken, numerous streaks of light shot out and covered Ma Qing and the group from Ma family. Scoff! Ma Qing looked at Tian Guangming in anger. He smiled in disdain and his gaze was like a celestial staring at a mortal. Ma Qing slapped toward the air and hit Tian Guangming's fist. A giant light exploded and this light was extremely strong. Explosion! A terrifying aura swept around and instantly caused the people on the street to fly backward, especially those behind Ma Qing who all held their heads. They scurried like mice and hid in the corner. Their faces were filled with shock. Just one short clash could give off such a terrifying aura. That was just so horrifying. The two of them were at Boundless Realm. Tian Guangming had just broken into Boundless Realm and used the accumulations of the primordial divinity to charge to the peak of Boundless Realm. He thought that he could crush Ma Qing, but from their short exchange, his arm shook intensely. His muscles trembled and were filled with blood. He was slightly weaker in terms of strength. Tian Guangming's expression became solemn and he knew that it wasn't easy to kill Ma Qing. His body moved and his true qi turned into a huge bell. It was copper in color and it swung forward after being activated by his bright true qi. Hong! In an instant, space exploded on the street. The ripples from the bell spread out, surging outwards. The air in the region was just boiling. At that instant, Tian Guangming forced his aura onto Ma Qing. He only had one goal, which was to kill Ma Qing. You have some ability, but that is it. You must be dreaming to think that you can kill me. Ma Qing stared at Tian Guangming with a cold expression. His legs and fists were really tough as he punched downward. Dang! The fist struck the strength of the copper bell. The ripples covered Ma Qing, but he wasn't afraid. His body continued forwards and he stepped right onto the copper clock. Instantly, the copper bell trembled vigorously and gave out a low, heavy sound. It reverberated throughout the entire city. Everyone could hear it and all of them looked towards this street. In the next second, a giant energy fluctuation swept the area. There was a clean crack and the bell was still smashed by Ma Qing. This time, the entire street was destroyed. The buildings collapsed. It was a mess and dust spread everywhere. Tian Guangming's body disappeared and then reappeared in the sky. He looked towards Ma Qing solemnly. He was under immense pressure. What is going on? Didn't Seven say that Ma Qing was an old man with weak cultivation? Tian Guangming didn't understand. When he clashed with Ma Qing, he could sense the pressure that Ma Qing brought with him. This pressure was very strong. They were both Boundless Realm, but Ma Qing was stronger than Tian Guangming. Not by a little bit, but by a lot. This was also why Tian Guangming didn't understand. Didn't they say that this contract was going to be easy to execute? This was easy? Ma Qing looked at Tian Guangming and his expression became vicious. He hollered in rage, "Today, I will let all of you know that you can't kill me." Hong! Ma Qing charged into the sky. Large amounts of light exploded from his body like that of a Buddha. It was really terrifying and it pressed down on Tian Guangming. "You aren't paying your debt and broke the contract. Now, you are even spouting so much nonsense here. Who knows who gave birth to you? You are as shameless as the locks preventing mortals from becoming celestials." Tian Guangming mocked. "I have the ability to not pay my debts. All of you are fools for letting me break the contract. As for me spouting nonsense, that is one of my skills too. Today, let me tell you an obvious fact, people with power have the right to speak. I will kill you now and who else will dare to say that I owe you anything? People will say that you overestimated your strength and came to ask me for items. You are just asking to die." Ma Qing said coldly. With every sentence, he stepped forward and the space around shook. Ma Qing's aura rose from Boundless Realm to a much higher level. Although he didn't cross it, he reached the peak of Boundless Realm. Tian Guangming's expression became solemn. His aura wasn't on the same level as Ma Qing's. "Go die. You are actually asking me for something. Do you know that I never ever return things to people?" Ma Qing raged and used his full strength. In an instant, the ground shook. Shockwaves surged and spread out. In the city, the bricks on the ground started to rise up and down like waves. They shot out, sweeping high up into the sky. One from above and one from below swept towards Tian Guangming. These scenes were just absolutely shocking. It was like two true dragons striking infinitely and attacking together, their target being Tian Guangming. Ma Qing lit up and his entire body turned gold. Every drop of blood was burning fervently and his aura was climbing quickly. "Go die." Ma Qing stared at Tian Guangming coldly. He used his fingers as a sword and stabbed forward. This move was basically a lethal strike. With Tian Guangming's current cultivation, he wouldn't be able to block it. Of course, Tian Guangming knew it and cursed in his heart, "How is this even a simple mission? It is so tough. I am no match for him at all." Although he was cursing deep down, he didn't give up. He focused all of his true chi and energy onto one thing. A brush. Heaven Emperor Brush. This was Tian Guangming's celestial artifact and it had been given to him by Xiandao. He wouldn't use it unless there was an emergency situation. This was an emergency. Ma Qing's killing blow was about to destroy Tian Guangming. But at that moment, Tian Guangming suddenly shouted. "I don't believe that you can block a strike from a celestial artifact." Chapter 319, People from Celestial World Die. Tian Guangming hid the Heaven Emperor brush in his body and activated it. Once Ma Qing attacked him, the power of the Heaven Emperor brush would explode. Hong! The entire sky was filled with enormous energy which ravaged the area and spread for thousands of miles. Everyone near Heaven mountain range could sense this terrifying power. The sky cracked like a mirror, instantly breaking into many pieces. Heaven Emperor brush hung high above and touched Ma Qing's forehead. Kaka! A terrifying power exploded from within Ma Qing's body, forming a huge ripple along with the Heaven Emperor brush. It continued to spread. "Damn! Damn! Damn!" Ma Qing hollered. His head felt so bad that it was about to rip apart. The Heaven Emperor brush was still on his forehead, and the terrifying power made him feel very threatened. How is this possible? How could a celestial artifact have struck your forehead and you are still alive? Tian Guangming was stunned. He didn't want to believe that this was real. These scenes were so terrifying that it made him tremble. The jade-like Heaven Emperor brush was on Ma Qing's brow. Terrifying powers spread layer by layer, stacking up to form a really strong attack. But a transparent mirror appeared on Ma Qing's brow which blocked it. It was also a celestial artifact. Ma Qing had a celestial artifact too, which was why he was able to block the Heaven Emperor brush's attacks. But evidently, Ma Qing also paid a huge price. He was caught off guard by the Heaven Emperor brush and the terrifying power awakened the secrets deep in Ma Qing's soul to save his life. The oval mirror celestial artifact was defensive, which was why it was able to block the Heaven Emperor brush's attacks. But Ma Qing wasn't in a good state. His body started to show visible change. A young man turned into a white-haired old man in just a short 10 seconds. His skin was loose. His eye bags were deep and his face was covered in spots. His hands were trembling and his power was quickly fading away. He had boundless realm peak strength, but at this moment, he was quite similar to Tian Guangming and was only at initial boundless realm level. He was even weaker than Tian Guangming. Ma Qing looked on at his own change, gritting his teeth and staring at Tian Guangming in rage. He said in the most venomous voice, "Do you know what price I had to pay to get this body and reach my peak?" Tian Guangming smiled weakly. He had used all his strength to activate the Heaven Emperor brush and he didn't have much combat strength now. He mocked Ma Qing, as expected. The contract doesn't lie. You are just an old man who is about to die, so stop acting young. You want to fight for the world with a bunch of young men. I want you to die. Rage attacked Ma Qing's heart. The energy in his body surged into his own celestial artifact. Hong! The oval mirror exuded a terrifying power that pushed the Heaven Emperor brush aside. It turned into a giant sword that was about to kill Tian Guangming. How can you activate the celestial artifact? All my energy is only able to activate the celestial artifact once, but you just used yours twice. Tian Guangming was shocked and didn't dare to believe his eyes. Celestial artifacts were terrifying and really strong. If they were activated, they would be great killing tools. But they were also dangerous. To activate them, one needed to unlock the celestial seals, which had 9 different levels. One level represented 1 tier of strength. Tian Guangming injected all his true qi in, and although it only let him activate the first level, he still gained immense power from it. This was why the Heaven Emperor brush nearly killed Ma Qing the first time. That time, Ma Qing activated his celestial artifact's celestial seal and was barely able to block it. But just now, Ma Qing's power belonged to the second level. That was impossible. Boundless realm strength could activate the first level of the seal and give rise to great power. It was really terrifying and it filled one with fear. So, to activate the second celestial seal, one needed even more power. If Ma Qing was at boundless realm peak, then Tian Guangming would believe that he could barely do so. But he had just turned into an old man from a young man. His strength had fallen by a lot, so he definitely couldn't activate the second celestial seal. So what was happening? Peng peng peng. The power of the second celestial seal swept forth and was about to kill Tian Guangming. He had no strength to block it. Fortunately, the Heaven Emperor brush rushed over, using its last bit of power to suppress it. Dong! Heaven Emperor brush clashed with that attack. A scary light exploded in the sky and swept the few hundred surrounding miles. Tian Guangming was struck too. He spat out mouthfuls of blood and his body was flung backward. Heaven Emperor brush lost its strength and entered Tian Guangming's consciousness. Explosion! Tian Guangming was smacked into the city and smashed into the ground. The cracks in the ground spread out and formed a 3,000 meter hole. Hong! It was as if the city had been struck by an earthquake. Numerous people ran towards the outside and all the cultivators looked on in shock. Those two were just too strong. The terrifying strength of 2 unlocked celestial artifacts made one open their eyes wide. Who were these 2 people? Many people recognized Ma Qing, but no one in the 9 skies knew who Tian Guangming was. Dong! Ma Qing landed and he left a giant crater in the ground. He was not young anymore. Right now, he was just an old man who didn't have long to live. Ma Qing was furious. No water from any ocean or lake would be able to lessen his anger. Do you know? Ma Qing's gaze looked like he was about to eat someone. He stared at Tian Guangming with bloodshot eyes. He looked really scary. How much have I given to adjust this body to its peak? Because of you, all of my hard work and sacrifice has gone to waste. I will be trapped in this body for the rest of my life. You have ruined me. Ma Qing hollered in rage. Anger had caused him to lose his senses. His plan. His dream. All of it was gone. All of this was because of this person, Tian Guangming. Ma Qing smiled viciously. He didn't want Tian Guangming to die so easily, he wanted to torture him. He destroyed his hope and still wanted a quick death? Wishful thinking? Tian Guangming was shocked. You said that you are trapped in this body. You aren't from this world. Tian Guangming exclaimed. He didn't expect this at all. At the same time, within the bank of the universe, Xiandao opened his eyes and a sharp light flashed within. He said coldly, I didn't expect you to be the first celestial that I would meet. Die. Xiandao closed his fingers together and formed a sword as he pointed forwards. He was going to kill a celestial today. Chapter 320, Killing a Celestial with One Sword. In the city, Tian Guangming guessed Ma Qing's background. His heart was like a raging ocean and he was filled with shock. At that moment, Tian Guangming understood why Ma Qing was considered old with low cultivation and not much remaining lifespan. But the Ma Qing he met was young and at peak boundless realm. He might have been someone who would even reach the next realm. This was totally different from what the contract introduced. At the start, Tian Guangming thought that Seven got it wrong, but now it seemed like it was Ma Qing himself. He was a celestial in the body of a human. This time, the celestial paid a huge price to let Ma Qing's old body recover to his peak. But this celestial didn't care about the Bank of the Universe at all. He didn't care about the Bank of the Universe's revenge and ignored the contract. Only now did he finally pay a heavy price. Ma Qing stared at Tian Guangming and gritted his teeth. Do you know? I could have cultivated well and recovered to emperor-level strength, gotten the key, and then broken away from this body. Ma Qing hollered. Only Tian Guangming could hear his voice. However, due to his rage, his voice seemed stuck in his throat. It sounded horrifying and ear-piercing like blades rubbing against each other. 000 years ago, an emperor headed into Heaven Mountain range and wanted to occupy Heaven Mountain. In the end, he faced Murong Longcheng and was pinned down and died on the mountain. To others, it seemed like an ordinary battle over territory. But people who knew the inner secrets wouldn't believe that an emperor would get pinned down on the mountain and die just fighting for territory. Ma Qing was the previous emperor. When he was pinned, his soul managed to escape and he attached to this body. He managed to sign a contract with the Bank of the Universe and received a treasure to recover his body. He also needed to pay back 100 times more treasures 10 years later. But he broke the contract. After his soul recovered, he abandoned this body and was brought back to the celestial world by his elders. This contract was broken 10,000 years ago. During those 10,000 years, although Ma Qing's cultivation wasn't high, because of his celestial spirit, he managed to survive stubbornly. This was also the reason why Seven felt that this was the easiest contract. If Ma Qing didn't come down to the 9 skies, then this contract would have really been the easiest. Unfortunately, after 10,000 years, Ma Qing came down once more. This time he didn't choose another body and chose to use his body from 10,000 years ago. As this body was too old, Ma Qing used his own celestial source to recover his old body. This recovery seemed simple but it strengthened Ma Qing's connection with this body. Just now, the Heaven Emperor Brush's strike made Ma Qing desperate. His spirit source activated the celestial artifact twice to block the Heaven Emperor Brush's attacks. But this strengthened the connection even more. This body was smacked down from its peak. It was extremely old and his soul was also weakened. If the body was strong, he was strong. If the body was weak, then he was weak. At that moment, Ma Qing wanted to skin Tian Guangming alive to vent the anger in his heart. He was a celestial. He had huge potential in the celestial world and a brilliant future. Ma Qing could easily obtain invincible strength. But the key was that he had to go back. But now, Ma Qing couldn't go back. Even if the celestial world was opened, he wouldn't be able to fly with this old body. The only way he could go back was if his master came down to bring him up. How would Ma Qing not be angry? He walked step by step towards Tian Guangming and his expression became more and more terrifying. He shouted like a demon, "You destroyed me but I won't kill you that easily. I will slice you into many pieces and then swallow you mouth by mouth. Then, I will burn your soul in hellfire for tens of thousands of years. I will have different methods to torture you every day." Ma Qing stared at Tian Guangming with a cold gaze. As his future was destroyed, he entered a maniacal state. Tian Guangming heard that threat and his expression changed. But shortly after, he laughed. "What are you laughing at?" Ma Qing hollered in rage. He ran forwards and punched. Pang! Ma Qing's fist smashed into Tian Guangming's chest, shaking his body and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Tian Guangming was still laughing. He wasn't afraid and didn't beg for mercy at all. "What are you laughing at?" Fire blazed in Ma Qing's heart. Another heavy fist punched into Tian Guangming's dantian. Tian Guangming spat out blood non-stop as if he had an unlimited amount of blood. But he was still laughing. "I want to see how long you can laugh for." Ma Qing's expression was filled with rage. He was about to punch Tian Guangming in the head. But at that moment, Tian Guangming opened his mouth. He was in pain but he laughed happily. "I am laughing because you are about to die." Ma Qing grabbed Tian Guangming with one hand and punched him with the other. Even if he was very old, he was still at Boundless Realm. You seem to not understand your situation. Ma Qing laughed coldly and said. You think you won? Tian Guangming coughed, even spitting out his intestines. But he didn't care and kept smiling. Is it not obvious? Ma Qing laughed coldly. What tricks do you have up your sleeve? You can use them all so I can see how skilled you are. Tian Guangming shook his head and said, I don't have any more skills. Then, why are you still acting tough? Ma Qing laughed. A bright light appeared on his fist and it was about to land. I have no skill, but my master. Tian Guangming gave a weak smile and he felt really proud. This smile contained his anticipation and respect for his master. Master. Ma Qing's expression changed and he looked around. He noticed that there were many people looking but no one came out to stop him. Where is your master? Ma Qing smiled in disdain. If your master is amazing, then he should have attacked long ago. Why wait until now? Look at you taking your dying breaths, you are like a dead dog. Where is your master? Ma Qing laughed coldly. My master. He is above you. Tian Guangming gave a weak smile. Ma Qing's expression changed. His pupils constricted and his hair felt numb. Tian Guangming's reminder shocked him. Suddenly, he raised his head and he hoped that Tian Guangming was just playing tricks with him. Kang! But, a streak of sword energy shot down. It was unbelievably quick and landed without giving Ma Qing a chance to react at all. Ma Qing only saw a glimpse of it before it stabbed into his body. From his head to the middle of his body, the sword energy pinned Ma Qing into the giant hole. 000 years ago, Ma Qing turned into an emperor and was pinned on Heaven Mountain. His soul was fortunate enough to flee. 000 years ago, Ma Qing came once more but was killed here. This time he didn't have a soul to escape with. Li Xiandao's sword killed a respectable celestial. Chapter 321, Pervert Mule. Ma Qing was pierced in the head by Li Xiandao's sword and pinned to the ground. He opened his eyes wide, and in the end, he looked at Tian Guangming in disbelief. Before death, one would still have clear memories. In the few seconds before his death, Ma Qing continued to stare at Tian Guangming. Your master. Ma Qing's lips shuddered. He even found it hard to speak. But Tian Guangming understood what he meant. He smiled, I know, you are about to die. My master was able to kill you with a streak of sword energy from so far away. I am a celestial. Ma Qing's final sentence was filled with reluctance to admit the reality of the situation. He was a celestial. A noble celestial. A celestial was able to suppress 9 skies and 10 lands for 100,000 years. Even if his soul had fallen, he shouldn't have been able to be killed with one streak of sword energy, right? Ma Qing thought that he had millions of ways to die but he didn't expect that one day he would be pinned to death by one streak of sword energy in the 9 skies. Celestial. Tian Guangming burst out laughing. He didn't respect celestials as much as the others in the 9 skies and 10 lands. In the hearts of people in Tian Guangming, even the strongest celestials couldn't compare to his master. His master was the most amazing. My master can easily kill celestials. Tian Guangming said proudly. He struggled free from Ma Qing's hands and took out the contract. You broke the contract and the Bank of the Universe does things according to the rules. No one is above the rules, so you have to die. Tian Guangming said firmly. The Bank of the Universe, Ma Qing couldn't speak anymore. In the end, he remembered when he signed the contract. At that time, the master of the Bank of the Universe wasn't so amazing? He seemed really arrogant and rude. Had he been killed by such a person? Ma Qing's breathing stopped and his gaze froze. He was dead. Hwalala. Suddenly, it started raining very heavily and the hole was filled up. A cold wind blew and it sounded like a sad song. The heavens were mourning the death of a celestial. Heavy rain started falling for 10,000 miles around, drenching everything. Many people were stunned. Why had it suddenly started raining so heavily out of nowhere? It was sunny and clear just a moment ago. People who knew what had happened all looked on in shock. A celestial died just like that? In the crowd, many people stared at Tian Guangming. He was so weak and it was a great chance to attack him. For example, people from Ma family including Ma Qing failed and succeeded together. Now that Ma Qing died, they were furious. They charged out, wanting to kill Tian Guangming to take revenge. Tian Guangming looked at the dozens of people who charged out. Most of them were at initial Grotto Heaven Realm and normally he would have been able to wipe them out easily. But now, he was trash. A heavily injured piece of trash. What he could do was just stand there and wait for his master to save him. Tian Guangming believed that since he was such a good helper, master definitely wouldn't let him die. Li Xiandao was reluctant to see Tian Guangming die. Even if he was weaker, he was really loyal and worth saving. Hong! A blood-red light flashed about. Feng Zhuo was here. She used the power of the phoenix to kill 2 people right away. Brother Tian Guangming, don't be afraid, your brother Mule is here to save you. Mr. Mule charged over and his hooves smashed forwards. He kicked the heads of 2 Ma family members into their chests, killing them instantly. Tian Guangming looked at Mr. Mule gratefully and said, "Thank you, brother." After saying that, Tian Guangming looked at Feng Zhuo. Tian Guangming felt a really familiar feeling. Of course, Tian Guangming hated this feeling. It made him feel really conflicted. He felt close while also filled with disgust. Tian Guangming's eyes focused and he immediately guessed the reason. Goddess of Light. Only the Goddess of Light could make him have 2 such different feelings. Feng Zhuo quickly took care of the Ma family members. None of them could even survive 1 strike and all of them were killed. Feng Zhuo was so terrifying. She threatened everyone around and forced everyone apart. Feng Zhuo twisted her head and looked at Tian Guangming. Her expression was cold and she had the same feeling as Tian Guangming. An instinctive closeness. A natural hatred. Without even needing Goddess of Light to remind her, Feng Zhuo knew that this was the person she had to beat up. Feng Zhuo couldn't help but walk forwards. Tian Guangming retreated and fear appeared on his face. "This. I am sick, badly injured, please show honor." Tian Guangming was afraid because he knew that Feng Zhuo didn't have good intentions for walking towards him. He was already badly injured and on the brink of death. If Feng Zhuo beat him up, then he would have no more hope. He would just dig a hole and bury himself. He would even have a celestial to die together with him. "Scoff, I will wait for the day you recover. I hope you recover soon." Feng Zhuo scoffed coldly. She wished him well but her words terrified Tian Guangming and made his organs hurt. Who knew whether or not it was pain due to Ma Qing's beating or Feng Zhuo's terror? "Mr. Mule, bring Tian Guangming to Heaven Mountain." Li Xiandao's voice suddenly rang out in their ears. "Yes, master." Mr. Mule carried Tian Guangming and quickly ran up Heaven Mountain. Feng Zhuo sighed helplessly, "You saw that he is half dead. I can't attack him like that. He deserves it. Why wasn't he beaten to death?" An unhappy voice rang out from the Goddess of Light. After merging, Feng Zhuo was in control but Goddess of Light would occasionally recover and reveal herself. Tian Guangming's aura woke her up and she wanted to tell Feng Zhuo to beat up Tian Guangming. But looking at how tragic he was, Goddess of Light didn't mention it. "Beat him up next time. He has my primordial divinity and is actually still so weak. I am really losing respect for him." Goddess of Light raged. Feng Zhuo nodded, "Once he is okay, I will beat him up and let him continue laying down." Tian Guangming still didn't know about his future. He was carried by Mr. Mule and quickly dashed. When Mr. Mule passed Qingling, he said to the beautiful girl by Qingling's side, "Feng Longke, follow me to meet my master. With him as witness, you will be my wife. I will treat you really well. I'm not going to make you my pet. I am actually making you my wife." Feng Longke's face turned green and she grit her teeth. Perverted Mule. Chapter 322, I am a top genius. Tian Guangming was sent to the peak of Heaven Mountain really quickly and then he entered the Bank of the Universe to see Li Xiandao. But Tian Guangming had lost consciousness and was in a bad state. He had been punched in the heart and was finding it tough to breathe. Mr. Mule placed Tian Guangming down and asked, "Master, can he be saved?" Li Xiandao looked at Tian Guangming who was beaten up so badly and wasn't able to say a single word. His injuries were too great. Feng Longke also followed. When he saw these scenes, she said calmly, "He has been beaten up so badly that even his mother wouldn't recognize him. He probably has no hope." "Woman, shut up. This matter is just between men. You are my woman, so don't interrupt." Mr. Mule had a good relationship with Tian Guangming, so he scolded her. Feng Longke stopped talking. Mr. Mule had sealed her cultivation and she couldn't fight back at all. As for fighting to the death, Feng Longke didn't have that much faith. Her own view was that it didn't matter how long passed, as long as one managed to take revenge. One day she would kill Mr. Mule, barbecue him, and eat his meat for hot pot. She was also going to brew wine with his D***ck. Feng Longke suppressed her anger and occasionally glanced at Mr. Mule's crotch. Mr. Mule didn't sense anything and just looked at Tian Guangming with concern. He asked, "Master, what now?" Feng Zhuo and Qing Ling were also here. One didn't care and the other just looked on silently. One of them hated Tian Guangming and the other didn't know him, so naturally, they weren't as affected as Mr. Mule was. Li Xiandao looked at Tian Guangming and said, "7. What method do you have of curing him? Such injuries need a long time to heal. It'll take a few decades, maybe a few hundred years." 7 walked over with a solemn expression. Although they could ensure that Tian Guangming didn't die, the Bank of the Universe didn't have any amazing medicine to ensure that he would heal in a short period. 10,000 years ago, the Bank of the Universe had god medicine that could save him, but now they didn't. Tian Guangming suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Li Xiandao. He shouted, "Master!" His voice was weak. One found it really hard to hear him. If not for his high cultivation, along with how Mr. Mule kept looking at Tian Guangming, maybe he wouldn't have noticed. "What?" Li Xiandao asked. "Master, there is no need to cure me. Tian Guangming was really weak. I don't need to. I will just put you in the time hall and you will recover quickly," Li Xiandao said. After all, Tian Guangming had been beaten up so badly while doing things for Li Xiandao, so he would take responsibility. He wanted to give Tian Guangming a simple cultivation for him to go cultivate, but now it seemed like he had been harmed instead. Should he have said that Tian Guangming was unlucky, or was it just a coincidence? "Master, do you believe?" Tian Guangming continued. "What?" Li Xiandao looked at Tian Guangming in confusion. "Believe what?" "That I am a top genius." Tian Guangming praised himself. Li Xiandao was speechless. He was injured so badly and was still in the mood to joke. "If you were a top genius, then why did you have to merge with the Goddess of Light's divinity?" "Okay, I trust you, but we have to heal you first. And then you will enter the time hall for a period of time." Li Xiandao ignored Tian Guangming and told 7 to bring some medicine. "Master, trust me. I really am a top genius. Ma Qing went all out to punch me, and he actually managed to open up the blocked points in my body," Tian Guangming said emotionally. His voice got much louder and he felt much more energetic. Li Xiandao looked at Tian Guangming and said, "Are you serious?" "Right, master, give me a year and I will recover." Tian Guangming confidently nodded. Li Xiandao looked at 7. "There was such a thing?" 7 said, "Just trust Tian Guangming." Li Xiandao nodded and said, "I will send you to the time hall now and I will pay for the year. Just rest well." Tian Guangming was touched. "Master, once I recover I will definitely surprise you." Li Xiandao didn't really believe Tian Guangming was a top genius, but he still nodded. He was sick, so he would just console him. He told Mr. Mule to carry Tian Guangming to the time hall and place him down there. Tian Guangming, whose body was covered in blood, said, "You can head out." "Thank you this time, brother. That was nothing. We are all master's subordinates, so we are one family." Mr. Mule ran out. Li Xiandao closed the time hall and changed the flow of time from 10 minutes to a year. The slower time flowed, the less pressure there was on the people within. If 1 second outside was a year inside, the pressure might have aggravated Tian Guangming's injuries. Hong! Time hall's gates closed and everyone was waiting outside. 10 minutes wasn't long nor short. Li Xiandao stood with his arms behind his back and kept silent. Feng Zhuo and Mr. Mule waited quietly. Feng Longke and Qing Ling's hearts were filled with shock. The time hall accelerated time. 1 year inside was just 10 minutes outside. This was so terrifying. It was totally the domain of time itself. And this actually belonged to the mysterious Bank of the Universe. Feng Longke thought that she would be able to flee quickly, but now it seemed like Mr. Mule's master was too terrifying. She had better make better plans. Feng Longke looked at Li Xiandao, and for some reason, he was filled with more respect. A person who could control time was someone she needed to respect. Not to mention Li Xiandao had just used a streak of sword energy to kill a celestial and pin him on the ground. Feng Longke and Qing Ling started to fear and respect the Bank of the Universe and Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao didn't know all of that. He only asked 7, Tian Guangming said that he is a unique top talent. Do you believe him? 7 said, some people have ancient bloodlines or ancient legacies in them, but without an exception, they are all noticed really early. People like Tian Guangming are nearly impossible to find. It seems too far-fetched. Then, let's just hope he gets better. Li Xiandao chose to believe Tian Guangming. After all, he was his subordinate, and the stronger he got, the more help he would be. 10 minutes passed quickly. The doors of the time hall creaked and opened slowly. Master! Tian Guangming ran out emotionally. He still wore that blood-stained shirt but he was totally unharmed. His strength also increased greatly. Middle Boundless Realm. He was injured once but jumped from initial Boundless Realm to mid of Boundless Realm. Li Xiandao looked at Tian Guangming in shock and so did the others. 10 minutes ago, he was like a dead dog being carried in by Mr. Mule. 10 minutes later he was fully recovered and brimming with life. Even his strength had increased. Even if a year passed, it was still unbelievable. Are you really a unique genius? Li Xiandao asked. Master, I told you that I am the son of light but I was bragging before. Now, I can confidently say that Ma Qing's few fists, especially the one that struck my heart completely awakened me. Right now, I am the son of light. My recovery skills are unparalleled and even if I am injured, I will heal my body with light. Tian Guangming was gleeful. Li Xiandao looked at Tian Guangming in satisfaction. Not bad, not bad. The others all envied Tian Guangming. His body was just too good. Only one person walked over slowly while rubbing her palms. No matter how badly injured you are, you can recover. Feng Zhuo smiled coldly and asked. Tian Guangming's face froze as he looked at her. He gulped, don't, Master is here. Li Xiandao said slowly, since you have this ability, then demonstrate it. Tian Guangming looked at Li Xiandao in shock. Master, it hurts. Li Xiandao chose to avoid Li Xiandao's gaze. He turned around and left with 7, if you get injured, you will pay for the costs of the time hall yourself. Feng Zhuo laughed, don't worry, Master. I will pay it for him. Mr. Mule saw this and called Feng Longke, let's go. They are just fighting, so let's leave. Let's just leave. Feng Longke was really well behaved and followed Mr. Mule away. Qingling could only follow silently. In front of the time hall, only Tian Guangming and Feng Zhuo were left. Tian Guangming gulped, a gentleman doesn't fight. You are a female. I don't fight girls. Do you think you can run? We both know the truth. Either I beat you up and vent my anger for Goddess of Light, or you beat me and I promise that I won't disturb you. Feng Zhuo clenched her fists and cracked her knuckles. Do you think that I am afraid of you? I am giving you a chance because you are a girl and I don't want to fight you. If you really force me, then I will go all out. Tian Guangming said fiercely. Even if he was at mid-boundless realm, facing Feng Zhuo, he was still under pressure. Then, bring it on. Keep laying in the time hall. Feng Zhuo screamed. Her blood energy was really thick and she instantly charged forwards. Hong! Feng Zhuo went all out without hesitation. She just punched heavily. Anyway, wasn't he good at recovering? Tian Guangming's expression changed and he started to block but it was no use. With primitive phoenix blood, Feng Zhuo had reached peak boundless realm long ago. Her attacks totally suppressed Tian Guangming. The poor Tian Guangming was beaten up badly and he cried out. In the end, Tian Guangming was even tossed onto her shoulder and then thrown into the time hall. Pang! The doors to the time hall closed. Feng Zhuo patted her hand, I will pay a year for you. The grievances between you and Goddess of Light are gone. Tian Guangming's injuries were even heavier than when he was against Ma Qing. He wanted to cry but no tears came out. He could only slowly heal. 10 minutes later, he snuck out of the time hall. He didn't see Feng Zhuo, so he heaved a sigh of relief, that girl, she really wanted to kill me. But I broke through again, that was just too quick. Tian Guangming had a really immature thought. He wanted to disturb Feng Zhuo. Chapter 323, Young Master Baikan. Tian Guangming had recovered and his strength increased once more. He was now at the late stages of Boundless Realm. He wanted to disturb Feng Zhuo and then let her beat him up. Every time he was beaten up, he would improve by a lot. Tian Guangming felt like he was going to be invincible soon. But thinking about it, Tian Guangming gave up that idea. The beating was too painful. He was not a masochist and he could accept being beaten occasionally. But asking for a beating wasn't something that Tian Guangming would do. Near Heaven Mountain, at the place where Tian Guangming and Ma Qing fought, a person walked over. In his hands was an oval mirror. It was Ma Qing's celestial artifact. Feng Zhuo and the others checked Ma Qing's corpse and didn't find any celestial artifact. But no one expected it to be in this person's hands. Ma Qing, I told you that we aren't as strong as we were in celestial world. We need to work with the ants to succeed. You were too proud, which is why you failed twice and lost your life. Another young man, similar to Ma Qing, he too came down from above. But he chose a different method. Ma Qing stole a body to allow his soul to descend. This young man chose to reincarnate and to be born in the 9 skies. He awakened his soul and after 20 years, he had grown up. Ma Qing and Tian Guangming's battle was one he paid full attention to. The only thing that shocked him was that last bit of sword energy. The master of the sword energy is not bad, but he is definitely not at Emperor realm. No one will be able to stop us from getting the key. The teen said coldly. He held Ma Qing's celestial artifact with much strength. His relationship with Ma Qing was not good, but after all, they came from the same place, and now that he saw Ma Qing being killed by someone they saw as ants, he felt sad for him. Ma Qing, I will take revenge for you. You died such a terrible death and it wasn't worth it in the end. The teen buried Ma Qing's body in a hole and also placed his celestial artifact in. You have refined it for a few thousand years and it has your aura, so I can't use it. Moreover, a low-grade celestial artifact can't be sold for much. I will just bury it with you. The teen tossed the celestial artifact down and said coldly. Young Master Baikan, numerous powers are together having a meeting. They are inviting you over. A middle-aged man flew over and shouted. The teen who was once a celestial and was young Master Bai Chen was now a generational expert in Cold Moon Sky. Good, I can't wait. We can't delay this matter anymore and have to get deep into probe how strong they are. Young Master Bai Chen was cold. He had waited 20 years since reincarnating and didn't want to wait anymore. The various factions are here. Young Master Bai Chen asked. Everyone powerful is here and they are all interested in splitting Heaven Mountain. The middle-aged man said. Young Master Bai Chen said coldly, that would depend on their strength. Without strength, they will be the first to die. Of course, very few people in the young generation can compare to young Master Bai Chen. Young Master Bai Chen's strength is already at boundless realm, right? The middle-aged man said respectfully. There is no need to say such things. Let's just go to the meeting. Young Master Bai Chen changed the topic and didn't want to discuss his cultivation with others. The two of them quickly shot through the sky and came to a city far from Heaven Mountain. Numerous young experts were gathered in this city. All the famous young experts in Cold Moon Sky could be found here, including the top 10 experts. Young Master Bai Chen and the middle-aged man arrived and received an invitation to a tower right away. In Cold Moon Sky, all the famous people from the factions were here. In Heaven Mountain, there were 100,000 spiritual energy dragon veins. Numerous treasures, Heaven Lake. All these things filled one with envy and jealousy. The rich resources didn't belong to them and were protected by a few scattered factions. They weren't able to interfere and that felt unbearable. At this moment, everyone was gathered together for that goal. Splitting Heaven Mountain. Young Master Bai Chen entered and sat down right away. He represented Bai family, a top aristocratic family that had been passed down for 100,000 years. Young Master Bai Chen was the top disciple in this generation, so he was held in high regard. The Cold Moon Sky aristocratic family, the Qin family, held this meeting. Heaven Mountain's resources are top grade in the entire Cold Moon Sky and we should be controlling it and not them. Qin family head said coldly. Numerous people surrounded him and all of them kept silent. We didn't know how strong Heaven Mountain was previously, but this time we will probe slowly. We will let the young disciples train while we wait behind. Once they don't follow the rules, then don't blame us for surging forwards. Qin family head's voice was ice cold. Since his son had been killed, he never smiled. He had been searching for the person who killed his son ever since. Along with Qing Ling escaping from Qing family and appearing in Heaven Mountain, Qin family wanted to sweep Heaven Mountain and grab this killer to take revenge for his son. So, what should we do? Gold family's head had an ugly expression and asked. Only now did he find out that his daughter had been taken as a pet by a mule. Gold family head who found out nearly exploded. He wanted to grab the Gold family's celestial artifact to slash up to Heaven Mountain and chop that mule into many pieces. But for his daughter's reputation, the Gold family head calmed himself down and didn't blow up. But he didn't let out his rage, and it was still extremely thick. He bumped into and killed hundreds of mules. Just killing them wasn't enough, he even ate mule meat every meal, gritting his teeth and pretending he was eating Mr. Mule. Our young generation will compete. Whoever enters the depths and gains a foothold will win. We will then go to the place they occupied and set up camp. We won't stop this time unless we see Heaven Lake. Qin family head looked around coldly and said loudly. The various factions listened closely and all agreed. The person who gains a foothold first, his faction will be given the priority when we split Heaven Mountain, said the Qin family head. The importance of reputation and the potential benefits were announced. If you want it, then go fight for it. Chapter 324, Defending the Mountain. A huge meeting allowed many factions to come to a consensus that they had to take down Heaven Mountain this time. The talents from the younger generations all rubbed their palms in excitement. This was a great chance to get famous. Not mentioning gaining a foothold in the depths of the mountain, but even if they killed more Heaven Mountain people, they would have huge gains. All of a sudden, a storm was brewing. Numerous people rushed towards Heaven Mountain. On Heaven Mountain, Xiandao also saw the current situation. The bank of the universe was hidden in the clouds. Xiandao looked down on the giant mountain range and saw numerous people entering the mountain. They rushed towards the central region from all around. They are asking to die. Xiandao looked down coldly without doing anything. He had sent his experts over and they have been guarding for some time now. I really want to see whether these people or my subordinates are stronger. Xiandao laughed coldly. He didn't need to be activated for these people. Xiandao believed that his subordinates would settle all of them. As for Xiandao himself, he had to monitor the entire Heaven mountain range and ensure that no one would sneak up the mountain. Murong Longcheng and Dali were cultivating. They obtained Xiandao's cultivation technique and were trying their best to raise themselves. Xiandao didn't want to disturb them right now. Murong Longcheng and the others thought that Xiandao was extremely strong, but in truth, Xiandao wasn't as strong as them. This was also a reason why Xiandao was anxious. He closed his eyes. His soul started to activate the all-knowing talent to comprehend and improve his own strength. Xiandao didn't want to miss a single second. He had to improve himself. If not, once the battle began, they might not be able to defend Heaven mountain range. Heaven Mountain was really wide and huge. A large number of people surged in from all around towards the inner area. Xiandao's subordinates started to move into different areas. At a mountain, at the border of the entrance, this was a place that could lead one to the depths of Heaven mountain range. Shua! Several people flew over. Seeing that there was no one defending this area, they were delighted. Did they think that they could be first? Dong! But in the next second, a white light landed. It was eye-catching and bright. The aura was like that of a mountain, viciously pressing down. One held a sword and had 6 pairs of wings. The angel wore shiny armor and landed. Archangel Gabriel. It was one of Xiandao's first few subordinates. He had always had great strength, but because Xiandao was acquiring more and more subordinates, he started to become more humble and low profile. Since Archangel had such a title, then he was definitely a calm person who didn't like to stand out. In Xiandao's hands, he cultivated well. He quietly handled the missions that Xiandao gave him, not fighting for fame, and he continued to maintain a low profile. He was similar to the old priest, both of them were the most low profile. But with that being said, Archangel Gabriel's strength was undeniable. He had been hard-working, absorbing the power within the primordial divinity to try to merge with it. This time he chose to defend Heaven Mountain alone. Battle Angel Michael wanted to be with him, but Archangel Gabriel rejected this request. I will defend this place and no one can pass me. Since Master wants us to defend this place, even if I sacrifice my life, I will defend it well. Gabriel appeared here because of that promise. He was fully geared. Archangel Gabriel held the celestial artifact he got from Heaven and Earth battlefield. This celestial artifact chose him as it was the most suitable for him. The sword was 5 feet 3 inches long, the sword handle was huge, and the sword was sharp. Gabriel held it in front of his body. When he stood straight, the wings on his back were 10 meters long. They slowly retracted after he landed on the ground. Archangel Gabriel's entry terrified the few people. The one who was leading questioned, "Who are you?" "I am Master's subordinate, Archangel Gabriel." Gabriel said coldly. "Archangel? Since you have a pair of wings, are you a monster?" A young man burst into laughter. Gabriel looked at them calmly, his silver helmet covering his face. A pair of eyes gave off a cold light and he said calmly, "I am guarding this place. Anyone who invades will die. A noob like you wants to stop me." The young man who was leading raged. He wanted to be the first. Now that he was being stopped by Gabriel, he was wasting a lot of time. "Do you know who this is? My young master is ranked 20th on the Cold Moon Skies expert board. If you want to leave, then step aside. Don't force my young master into killing you. After all, you are a noob and it isn't hard for you to grow." This young master's men started to scold Gabriel to make their young master happy. Gabriel looked on coldly at their young master and then at them. Disdain flashed in his eyes. Clang! His sword was pulled from the ground. A cold flash shone in the dark forest. At the same time, there was a streak of red as several corpses fell to the ground. Drips of fresh blood dripped onto the ground. "All of you talk too much. It is better for the forest to be more silent," Gabriel said coldly. He walked forwards with his sword and looked at the young master. Young master frowned. He looked at Gabriel with a solemn expression. He didn't care about his subordinate's death at all. What he cared about was that he didn't see a glimpse of that sword. That was just shocking. The young master didn't care about his few young subordinates being killed. But this person seemed really strong. Rank 20th. Gabriel tilted his head and looked coldly. There was no disdain, only calmness. The calmness one had when one accepted life and death. Between the young master and him, one person would die here. Who would it be? Gabriel didn't like to waste time and just slashed forwards. At that moment, the young master hollered, his roar shaking the entire sky. His aura exploded and gave off a tsunami-like sound. Fearless lion seal. The energy in the young master's body turned into a golden lion whose roar reverberated throughout the entire forest. This lion charged forwards and wanted to suppress Gabriel. Gabriel looked on calmly with the sword in his hand. He just slashed down. "No matter what you do, my sword will kill you." Hong! The young master's fearless lion seal charged out really quickly. However, the speed at which it broke down was quick too. The young master fell down in a pool of blood and blood slowly seeped out. Expert board number 20, Boundless Realm. Why is he so weak? Were the rankings fake? Gabriel was filled with disdain. Chapter 325, Xiandao's senior brother. Gabriel was able to easily kill such an initial Boundless Realm talent, number 20 on the expert board, not only because he was strong, but because the celestial artifact was strong too. He didn't destroy the few corpses, he just allowed them to stay there. Gabriel stabbed the celestial artifact into the ground in front of him. He held the handle and just quietly guarded the place. He closed his eyes and used his senses to scan the surrounding area. He guarded the land 100 miles around. Gabriel wanted this place to be watertight. No one could think about getting past him. In these 100 miles, the other places were harder to traverse, but there were still others who used shortcuts. They crossed the complicated landscape so as not to bump into the Heaven Mountain people. Gabriel sensed that a person was speeding through the cliffs like an ape. He crossed several mountains and was about to pass Gabriel's region. Gabriel's expression was cold. A streak of sword energy surged in his body and he slashed forwards. Big River Sword Energy. Big River Sword Energy was what he initially exchanged from the Bank of the Universe. Although he didn't do very well, after seeing Xiandao do it, Gabriel corrected his mistakes. His Big River Sword Energy now was extremely strong. One streak of sword energy descended from above. It was like a giant surging river that charged down really aggressively. This streak of sword energy had strength similar to that of a supreme secret technique. It was extremely terrifying and sent chills down one's spine. Explosion! The sword energy pierced this ape-like person and only white bones were left. He fell down the cliff and his bones were scattered everywhere. Gabriel was not satisfied and said regretfully, "Compared to Master, my Big River Sword energy is still lacking." Gabriel saw Xiandao use it. That strength was really undescribable. Xiandao's Big River Sword was the true Big River Sword, especially his Big River Sword from the heavens. Xiandao directed the Milky Way between the stars. It was enormous, and when it landed, it was exceptionally horrifying. His big river sword came from the skies like a normal river landing from above. They weren't from the same level at all. Eyes, I would be great if I reach master's level. Gabriel sighed in envy and continued to close his eyes to comprehend. Hong! Suddenly, Gabriel sensed several people flying above the Heaven mountain range. They were really quick and they flew very high. They didn't plan on passing through the mountain range and just fly past it. Like that, there would be no need for them to fight. Gabriel sensed it, but he didn't move. He just laughed coldly. They are asking for death. He was not in charge of the sky. Big brother, you are right. Battles have started below, and now that we are flying over, no one will interrupt us. A person said emotionally. He increased his speed to follow his big brother. Of course, big brother is smart. Those dumb people below are still fighting those in Heaven Mountain. They aren't using their brains at all. The boss was delighted. He looked at the battles occurring all around and felt really proud. Wasn't it good to fly up above? What was the point in fighting? Ayo! But in the next second, such thoughts disappeared. There was a sharp cry that reverberated in the mountains. It was terrifying and pierced one's eardrums. After hearing that sound, they weren't able to defend and a golden light landed in front of them. An iron claw pierced his brother's head, and with a crack, it was smashed like watermelon. The skull was the toughest in the human body. The moment they touched, this claw crushed it. The little brother cried out, died, and then fell towards the ground. Who? The boss looked around in terror. He had no idea where the enemy was and only saw a streak of golden light. He heard the little brother's cry, turned around, and saw that his head had exploded. He panicked. This Heaven Mountain was just too dangerous. Even the skies weren't safe. Ayo! Another sharp scream. This time Big Brother became wary. He looked around and locked onto the target. An eagle. It was 3 to 4 meters wide after spreading its wings. It wasn't huge, but it was extremely nimble. Its speed was unbelievable and its talons were just terrifying. By the time Big Brother saw the eagle, it was already up close. The talons easily clawed his head. Pa! The Big Brother's head exploded like a watermelon. His corpse also swiftly fell to the ground. He was no match for the God Eagle. In the sky, the God Eagle's strength would increase significantly. Its speed could crush many people. This was also the reason why Gabriel didn't care about people who flew from above. God Eagle killed 2 people and had a cold gaze. It continued roaming the skies and patrolling the surroundings. Its gaze was sharp and from a few thousand meters away, it could very clearly see the ants on the ground. While it was in the sky, no one could escape its sight. It ruled the entire sky. Everyone handed the responsibility to God Eagle. It would definitely kill all those who tried to get past from the sky. The truth proved that the God Eagle had done well. Things had just begun and it had already killed over a dozen people. No one could defend one strike because it was so fast. The moment they reacted, its claws would have already landed on their heads. After the God Eagle killed a dozen people, there were far fewer people who wanted to fly across Heaven mountain range. Everyone knew that there was a God Eagle that was mercilessly claiming lives. If one couldn't cross from above, then one would have to head over from below. The cold moon sky geniuses were all confident. For example, the northern region lord and Chu Bai's region had a bunch of people. Hunshan Path's senior disciple led many disciples over to claim the spoils of this place. The place they chose was coincidentally where Chu Bai and northern region lord Gong Yu were defending. There were dozens of people with decent auras. They were all around Grotto Heaven Realm and there were even a few Boundless Realm experts. Out of these few young men, one of them had a really strong aura. It was evident that he had entered Boundless Realm a long time ago. He stepped forwards and looked at northern region lord Gong Yu and Chu Bai coldly. He said calmly, Hunshan Path senior disciple and Yun, please come out to die. Chu Bai frowned when she heard this. Calmness appeared on her exquisite face. You are inviting us to die, but that will depend on whether or not you have the ability. Northern region lord Gong Yu stood with his arms behind his back and he looked like a scholar. People who brag do need to be punished. I will definitely kill the 2 of you within 3 moves. Hunshan Path senior disciple Anyun said coldly. He stepped forwards and his aura soared. The dozens of disciples behind him cheered for their senior disciple.